What's up, guys? It's the Fantasy Endgame back once more because it is a nice long weekend and it's the busiest draft weekend pretty much of the year for fantasy football. A lot of you have your drafts today, tonight. So, look, if your draft is still coming up, we're here to help you. We did this yesterday. We're here to help answer your questions for your drafts and who you might want to take. And also, you already got some of your teams loaded. Who do you start and who do you sit? Now, of course, we got videos for that. So, already out, running back, start sit, wide receiver, start sit, quarterback, and tight end. All of those videos are up on the channel. Go check them out as soon as you're done here. But let's start with a topic that might be important to some of you, and I think it's really worth discussing because if you're still going to draft, what do you do or not do with one of the biggest names in running back in all of fantasy, Jonathan Taylor? Chris, it's easy to say, well, of course you fade him. You just wait. He's not an early round pick anymore, whatever. But how late do you actually wait? Because I think it's kind of incredible how late he's going in some of these drafts. Well, we've heard the last couple of days from people, and I tested this myself as well. I'll get to that in a second. But what's your quick thought? We talked about this a little bit yesterday, but quick thoughts on JT.
Yeah, quick thoughts on JT are I feel like fifth round is probably acceptable. I think right there, like I'd probably still take him over Brees just because at least if JT does play this year, he's not coming off an ACL injury and he has no competition. Like kind of right there around like Brees, Kenneth Walker, those kind of guys. But after like what people were saying on the stream yesterday and what people have been saying in our Discord, it's like you might be able to wait even longer for him if you're willing to gamble on it, honestly.
We heard some things. So look, here's one thing I did. Almost all of my leagues nowadays are on Sleeper, right? And you guys know we've been mocking on Sleeper. All our leagues, our endgame leagues, of course, they're on there, and it's nice having them all in one place. And Sleeper's, my favorite format right now. I don't have a single league on Yahoo anymore, and I like to have at least something there just so I can check all the info, the trends, and it's the most probably, I'm guessing it's the most popular platform, I like using it, but none of my leagues are on there anymore. So last night I did some investigative research. I picked a public league. I jumped in there. I did a draft, like a quick draft, and I wanted to see how late I could get JT. Well, I don't know how late I could have got him, but it was the 8th round and he was still there. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. Like, I don't really care if I win this league. I'm just doing this for fun to see what kind of a team I can build. And I took him. I don't know. He might have fallen even farther, but it was still 8th round. He was just out there. Like, everybody had their starting running backs filled. And people are scared. They're afraid to take Jonathan Taylor and stash him. Now, I get that you're worried about the risk. And look, I am not somebody who loves to take on these either injury risks or these holdouts and all these. I'm not that guy. I was like, forget it, because I've been burned, several times by things like this. But that's ridiculous. 8th, 9th round to get a guy who, when he comes back, could be a clear RB1. That's just too far.
Way too far. And we had a couple people on the stream yesterday say 9th round. They got him in the 9th. I know we had, like I said, in the Discord, 7th round, 6th round. I've got my home league draft, my last draft of the year, on Wednesday. I'm very curious to see what round I can get him in. I mean, if he's there, I'm pretty sure if he's there maybe I'll let him fall and just to see, because it's my home league, whatever. I can win without JT. If it's like the 7th round, 8th round, I don't see how I can't. Like, I don't see how you couldn't pull the trigger. Like, what is the real risk at that point? Like, okay, it's a lost season, kind of like last season was. Oh, well, it's the 7th, 8th round. There's going to, like I said yesterday on the stream, there's going to be a lot of guys in that range that are going to end up on waiver wire and are just sitting on benches because they're not really startable. So the reward is you get a top 5, top 10 running back. The risk is, you missed out on your 7th or 8th round pick. Okay, fine. Like, well worth the reward. Well worth it.
Yeah, and like with anything, it kind of depends on the situation there. If it's a shallow league or it's like a home league where you feel like I'm going to win anyways, or at least I know I have a really strong team, like you're not too, worried about it. You're going to sweat it. Yeah, take that risk. And, even if let's say he's not guaranteed to come back, or he's not going to get traded and he's stuck on the Colts, and well, that's not good. Somebody might also be willing to take a chance on him. You could use him as trade bait because the week before he's set to come off a pup, there might still be questions, whatever. I guarantee somebody will be at least interested.
Okay.
And so at least you've got yourself an asset, unless he's ruled out for the season. I don't think that's a concern. That's one thing people are like, oh, what if he doesn't play all year? He doesn't have a season-ending injury. Like, he doesn't really have an injury, let's face it. It doesn't really benefit him in any way to not play, even if he had the choice to just sit there and say, I refuse to play. Does it really benefit the Colts in any way to just keep him on the roster and not play him in any way at all?
No, it doesn't benefit either of them, honestly, because you need to give your rookie quarterback some help, take some of the pressure off. But it really doesn't benefit JT because if he doesn't play enough games this year, he doesn't accrue a league year because he's in the last year of his rookie deal. If he was like on his second contract and he was going to be a free agent next year, yeah, he could sit out the whole year, no big deal. Just not get paid or whatever, just get fined, whatever it is. But if he doesn't play, if he's like, no, I'm not playing, he doesn't accrue a contract year. So he goes into next year still on the last year of his rookie deal. And he's got to do this all over again. And he's still a Colt, by the way. He's still a Colt, assuming he doesn't get traded, of course. So it doesn't really even make sense for Jonathan Taylor not to play. And I kind of wonder, like you said with the pup, this does not feel like an injury pup. This doesn't feel like he's physically unable to play. This feels like the Colts are like, we're going to put you on the pup. And now that's 4 games that, getting you closer to not accruing a season this year. You sure you don't, you might want to change your mind before, you don't accrue that league year, that contract year. So, yeah, I feel like he's probably, like, if he would have been traded to some other team, he probably would be out there week 1. So, yeah, I think he's going to be off pup sooner rather than later and play. Now, that doesn't mean he's going to be elite or whatever. Maybe he doesn't play quite as hard because he doesn't want to play for the Colts or whatever. But still, we're talking about a young, extremely talented player. Definitely worth the gamble for me.
Yeah, the only thing that's hurt in that situation are feelings, and that not just JT but Jim Irsay. That's the only reason really if he would play is Irsay just out of mere pettiness and like retribution is just refuses to let him play. I mean, can you really go that far with it? I don't know. But anyways, the point is it's still worth it at a certain point. Now, I will say off the top of my head, I have him ranked right now right behind. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Right in front of the ACL guys. And I'm talking about Breece Hall, Javonte Williams. Yeah, I would take Jonathan Taylor and take a chance on him playing half a season as opposed to those guys who have more risk, I think, injury-wise, but also as far as efficiency. This is why we've both been saying we're just not drafting those guys. So, yeah, I have them like around 80 overall, something like that. Of course, if you want to check our exact rankings, there's a good place to do that. flockfantasy.com/endgame. That's down there somewhere in the description. You check out all our stuff there. And then here's the other thing, and I did this also because in most of your leagues, including Yahoo, you take him, you can put him on IR and then go pick up Deion Jackson or some other player that you didn't draft instead. You get an extra player, basically.
Yeah, I talked about this last night too. I think if you have an IR, at least one IR spot, taking Jonathan Taylor is a no-brainer.
Yep.
You draft him in the 6th, 7th round like Joe Duke did here, or round 8, round 9, depending on how, risky you want to get with him. And then you stick him on the IR and you go grab somebody off your waiver wire. You go grab, Deion Jackson, Evan Hull, or if for some reason Zach Charbonnet wasn't drafted in your league, you go grab Zach Charbonnet. And so now he's not even taking up a bench spot anymore, right? He's not even taking up a bench spot. So, yeah, if you have an IR slot, taking JT is like a no-brainer. No-brainer.
And I know that's I'm sure autocorrect there on the phone. My iPhone does that all the time, but I love Crab Bonnet. That's like that sounds like a great nickname. And then speaking of yesterday, we did talk about Cooper Kupp, everyone's favorite snack, Little Debbie snack cakes. Just traded Kupp to get Amon-Ra. My season outlook seems to have a glimmer of hope besides JT, but you got JT, and then now you got Amon-Ra. I mean, is that a clear win getting the Sun God instead of Cup?
I think right now it's probably a clear win because you're not taking on that risk of Cup, and I think Amon-Ra will be great. Will Amon-Ra be Cooper Cup? Maybe not, but he'll be great, and you don't have to, at least right now, you don't have to worry about a hamstring injury.
I mean, look, we both, of course, dropped Cup in our rankings. I have Amon-Ra above him right now, so to me, getting that trade, that's a win. Some might say that St. Brown is the new Cooper Cup. Not, I'm just saying.
Well, people said that, but remember, Cooper Cup wasn't really Cooper Cup until later in his career. So
but that's the thing. That's if anything, you should look. Well, he did it already right off the bat. He didn't take time to develop. He didn't wait for a guy like Stafford to come along and make him, put up these big numbers. You got Goff, but anyways, all right. So let's get to some of your questions. Now that we've kind of covered JT, and there will be plenty more talk about this. In fact, let's do this one more. Trevor saying JT win in the 8th in his league. I'm regretting not grabbing him. So you could have. He went in the 8th, but not to you. So, I mean, I'm assuming 12 team that you probably should have got him, huh?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like in my home league draft, if it's round 7 and he's still sitting there, I don't see how I'm gonna say no. Because we do have an IR spot in that league. I don't know how I'm going to be looking. I mean, look, maybe I'm going to be looking at JT, and I'm also going to be looking at, Christian Watson or DJ Moore. You never know. You never know in home leagues. You just never know how people value these. And I'm going to be like, well, I can't take JT quite yet. I mean, but chances are at that point, I'm going to be taking JT.
If it's the 8th round, you probably already have 2 running backs. Like, he's not somebody, you're not having to replace a starter. You already have 2 guys.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way I look at it. You're taking him instead of a 3rd running back. A guy like maybe like a James Cook or something, or Antonio Gibson. Yeah. Anyways, we'll see what happens there. Let's see, Trigger Trey, what is up? Okay, so we're gonna get to your questions here. We do have some super chats, but let's get to some of those first questions. Let's do start sit here. Ramondre with a tough matchup against the Eagles, or Dobbins in the smash spot.
I love Dobbins this week, but I don't know if I could start him over Ramondre. Ramondre certainly will catch more passes than Dobbins. We know this. And if the Patriots are losing, like if the Eagles are routing them, which is possible because a Patriots offense probably not going to score a lot of points, although they do have a good defense, so maybe they can make it close and low scoring and ugly. But I think Ramondre will at least get a decent amount of catches in this game. I think I still have to go with Ramondre, even in a tough matchup.
Yeah, well, here's the thing is, of course, Dobbins, great spot this week. But with Ramondre, you figure what Bill Belichick is going to want to do is play to his strengths. He's not going to want to keep the ball in the hands of the Philly offense. Probably going to run Ramondre a lot to keep it close, to keep it low scoring. And he's going to be the pass catching back there. That receiving core, like it's not any better than it was last year. It's not.
No.
So I like Ramondre. He's going to get a lot of usage. Sure, Dobbins may have the higher ceiling if he does have a huge game, but I'm not sitting Ramondre. I even said, before we had our RB start sit video, he's to me very borderline, almost no doubt must start. This is a tough call. I mean, I honestly don't know if you have Ramondre and Dobbins. Is there somebody else you're starting that you can't sit? Can you flex Dobbins? That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
But who knows? And I did start to answer this. I feel like we should answer this. So Ali's saying, who should I trade Najee for? And I said, well, why are you trying to trade him? And then the response here is like, just don't feel safe. Do you agree? Are you worried about Jaylen Warren? Let's get that out of the way with a lot of people. I don't get, honestly, the Jaylen Warren hype. Like, there's all these highlights of him. People talk, he's going to take over the backfield. Like, what?
Yeah, I don't think he's taking over the backfield without an injury. I mean, I think it's going to be kind of like last year where Jaylen Warren is probably going to get more work in the passing game than we wanted for Najee, because that was a big part of his value as a rookie was the receptions. and he may not get that again with Warren. But Warren's not Warren's not taking over this backfield. No, I'm not worried about that. I mean, there's reasons to be concerned about Najee. He's not like the most explosive guy. He's not super efficient. He's not in the best offense. But it's not Warren. Warren's not the reason I'm worried. But as far as like it's always impossible to answer a who should I trade player X for, or who, you know what I mean? Because I don't know.
Depends.
You got a Steelers fan in your league. You might be able to get somebody really good for Najee Harris. You got everybody in your league thinks Najee Harris is a bum. You're not going to get anything for Najee. You know what I mean? Like, it's so player and league dependent to say, who can I trade him for? Like, who I might give for Najee, Pierre would be like, I would never give that for Najee, or vice versa. You just don't know. So I wouldn't be trading him just to trade him.
Right.
I mean, if you want to put the feelers out, sure, see if you get a good offer, but I wouldn't be looking at trade him just to trade him.
No, I mean, not worried about Warren, not trading him just to trade him. If you really want, you could put him on the trade block and see if somebody comes to you with an offer. And if not, then nobody's that interested. So,
yeah.
All right. We do have a super chat here from Matthew. Once again, thank you, Matthew. So rate this lineup without JT and Cup. That's not a good way to start the season. All right, so you got Watson, Dobbins, Connor, Herbert, Cooper, Sun God, Nico, Tony, Lazard, and Njoku.
I mean, you still have a really good team. You got Dobbins and Connor, who should at least be Dobbins should be great this week. Connor should at least be, serviceable most weeks. And Herbert, Herbert might even be serviceable some weeks here. You got Cooper and Sun God. That's great. Like Nico or Tony Lazard? Like, what do you mean or? But anyways, I mean, okay, yeah, your wide receiver on your bench a little weak, but whatever. You got a decent tight end. You got Watson and Njoku stack. I think you'll be fine. And look, if Cup only misses a week or two, suddenly you got Cup, Cooper, and Sun God. And if JT comes right back after Pup and you throw JT into this lineup will be stacked. So I think you can at least survive with this team until those guys come back.
Yeah. The wide receiver depth, you don't want to have to start Tony or Nico just yet. So you're going to want Cup to come back pretty soon. But overall, you do have some really good players. So this is a team, not like some of the teams we saw yesterday, and people are asking, had JT had Cup where like you almost didn't need them. We saw some teams where they had two running backs that were just as good. I don't think this team is that, but look, with Connor and Herbert, you'll be fine either way. This week, I'd say put Herbert in maybe instead of Connor. I think you'll be okay. 12 team, you'll be okay. Jason Quinones, hey, welcome back yourself. So what's the latest on Cup? Well, we went into that a lot yesterday. If you didn't see yesterday's stream, we spent the first segment talking about that. Just like today, we talked about JT. The latest on Cup is still questionable, but unlikely to play.
Yeah, McVay's still saying he's day-to-day. They haven't officially ruled him out, but it's Monday, and he's still in Minneapolis with the specialist. Like, I don't know what – I don't know. I mean, that's definitely worrisome. It's looking very doubtful for Cup this week. So, and potentially week 2 as well, and who knows. As far as Dobbins, I mean, he's fine. He returned to practice, 3 weeks ago. I feel like this is why people are so unsure about Dobbins, is because he was on PUP, like the way JT was on PUP, aka kind of holding out, right?
Yeah.
And he didn't return until right before the last preseason game. So of course he didn't play in the last preseason game, because why? And people just kind of are all, what's going to go on with Dobbins? But he doesn't have any kind of injury. He's fully healthy. He's 100% healthy. Playing the Texans, Dobbins is fine. Dobbins is 100% fine.
Yeah, it's just the uncertainty. That's what people get scared of, the unknown, which is, I get it. And look, if you haven't been following that closely, a lot of people who play fantasy, you don't have time to sit there every day and look at news reports, injury updates. I get that. I think a lot of people just assume Dobbins is hurt, or that there's something wrong with him, or he's just coming off an injury. So to explain his thing was he was doing like a hold in sort of thing, or he like wasn't going to show up and he wanted a new deal. And they're like, yeah, no thanks. You're always hurt, but we'll keep you around. So he didn't have any leverage really. I mean, look,
No.
Jonathan Taylor, Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, those guys basically caved. They didn't gain anything by their holdouts. They're making the exact same amount of money and they're still playing for the same team for 1 year. JT is just not playing at all now. So yeah, a guy like Dobbins has zero leverage. He's fine. He's playing. Sure, there's risk. Every running back has injury risk. Dobbins has injury past, but right now he should be fine. And you should definitely be starting him week 1 if you have him. So
don't forget, kind of like Josh Jacobs last year. J.K. Dobbins, last year was rookie deal, kind of has not lived up to his hype. People disappointed about him. He's playing for a contract. Remember how Josh Jacobs just couldn't get hurt last year? Like he would come limping off the field with like his foot, like facing backwards. And then like somehow 2 plays later, he'd be out there running fine. Like, right? Like Josh Jacobs could literally not get hurt last year. Like nothing was going to stop Josh Jacobs. Just saying, Dobbins in that same situation right now.
I think Dobbins will be just fine. I had a lot of Dobbins this year, and I'm pretty happy about that. So hoping for a big week 1. Next super chat, actually first, good question because I do want to let the people know. Thorin Oak and Shield, a part of the flock. We appreciate that. Again, if y'all don't know what you're talking about, flockfantasy.com/endgame. If you're on the flock site and you sign up, use code endgame. Make sure you do that or go to that endgame link and get any membership. And so get your shirt. Well, want to speak to the process?
Well, we have Corey from Bear Clothing does our shirts. So what I was thinking is probably like maybe in November, early December, post in the flock Discord and just say, hey, if you're a member, DM me or Pierre with your address, and then we'll just get them all shipped out. Because Corey can ship them out directly, right?
Yeah. I just need to get in contact with him. So for those who don't know, go to Bear Clothing or go bearclothing.org and you can look for our merch there. Maybe you don't want the membership, but you just want to
you just want to go buy one. They're nice shirts. They're nice.
It's just like that. Got a lot of other good athletic wear as well. So anyways, bearclothing.org. You can check that out. But yeah, join the flock, get that membership, and then just let us know if you don't want to wait. Just you can send us a DM and we'll get on that. All right, so Pedro says in the flex, he has Christian Watson, or should you put Brian Robinson at the flex, or swap Brian Robinson for James Conner at RB2? And then at wide receiver 2, he's going either Hollywood or McLaurin.
All right, a lot here. I'm definitely playing Christian Watson, and I'm definitely playing Brian Robinson over James Conner. I mean,
the way I look at it, Watson is the wide receiver 2 there, right?
Yeah, so Watson would be my wide receiver 2. Robinson would be my RB2. And then you're flexing Hollywood or McLaurin or Connor, I guess. I got bad news. You're probably not going to be flexing McLaurin because I highly doubt he's going to play. We don't know for sure yet. They haven't officially started. I mean, Monday practices are basically like just sit in the air-conditioned room and talk about game plan or whatever. So it's not really like a practice yet. So I guess it comes down to would I rather play the Cardinals running back against the Commanders or the Cardinals wide receiver against the Commanders? I guess I would go Connor over Hollywood, sadly, just because we're going to get Josh Dobbs or Clayton Tune throwing to Hollywood. At least Connor, if they throw to him, it's just going to be dump offs. So I like the chance of him actually getting passes that are catchable versus Hollywood getting passes that are catchable. And maybe Connor could fall into the end zone or something. So Watson is my wide receiver 2. Robinson is my RB2. And I guess I'm flexing Connor.
Yep. Same for me. You have to start Watson. Definitely like Robinson over Connor. And now it looks like maybe it is Clayton Tune. That's like this very cryptic thing from the head coach Gannon. He's like, well, I think maybe Clayton Tune's ready to start. Like, okay, so announce him as a starter. Does it really matter? No. But I think that we're gonna see a lot of Connor probably in this game. Feel a lot better about his volume, but also chance to do something with it. So go with Connor. And then Michael, what is up?
What's
Pick
up, Michael?
2. Wow, we only got to pick 2 of these guys: Olave Wilson and Mike Williams.
Well, I can't sit Olave and Wilson, so I guess you got to sit Mike Williams. It's not fun. He can always go off. He can always have one of those huge games, but man, I can't. Olave against the Titans. I mean, I know you can maybe say, well, Garrett Wilson has the Bills, but yeah, he's also a stud and got Aaron Rodgers, so I can't sit those guys. I'm playing Olave and Wilson.
Yeah, we don't want to sit any of these guys, but yeah, I agree. I mean, you don't pick your lineup in order of how you drafted these players, but when you have to think about it, if the matchup doesn't make this huge difference, none of these guys have a real negative matchup. Wilson doesn't have a great matchup, but still, he was like first round pick in a lot of leagues, second round pick in a lot, because he could be an absolute stud receiver. Mike Williams, good, like him a lot, but I can't bench Wilson for him. So yeah, Olave and Wilson. Olave and Wilson. And Jason with another one saying New Year
Appreciate
today.
that.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate
it.
that a lot. Try to be on point again this year. We'll hopefully help you guys win quite a bit. All right, Sal. Got my last draft tonight. Number 1 pick. All right, so going Jefferson. That's a good plan. What do you think he could get at the 2-3 turn? Now, of course, almost every single mock draft that we did this entire offseason, Jefferson's at the 1, and we saw a lot of certain combinations at the 2-3.
Yeah.
What do you think he should be looking for?
I mean, you really have this is the thing. You have no idea. Like my cousin texted me last night. He's like, I'm about to draft. I have the 7th pick. I'm thinking about like taking Diggs or I think he was like Diggs or Kelsey. I was like, I'm going Tyreek Hill or Bijan at 7. He's like, oh, I don't think Tyreek Hill will be there at 7. 10 minutes later, I get a text. I got Tyreek Hill at 7. Like, this is the thing. Like, you just don't know. Like, and then he said he got a Monra in the 2nd. So that means like middle of the 2nd, right? So you could maybe get Jefferson. You could maybe get Jefferson and Monra Pollard, honestly. Like, it just depends on the league. It really just depends on the league, how sharp your league mates are. Like, hopefully you've played with these guys a lot. Like, this is maybe your home league or something like that, where you know how they kind of draft and who they like. But I wouldn't really be aiming for people at the 2-3 turn, because if somebody falls who shouldn't be there, take them. Just be ready to take them. Be ready to take them. Like, don't go in saying like, okay, hopefully I can get this guy and this guy, and then you miss the fact that like CeeDee Lamb is still there at the 2-3 turn or something, because you're not even looking at that. You're looking at QB and running back or something. You didn't even look at the wide receiver board.
Yeah, I mean, I will say you don't want to go in looking for a position specifically. A lot of people we saw in mocks would go on the way back in the turn get Pat Mahomes. Oh, I got the number 1 receiver and number 1 quarterback. I think it's too early. You don't need to take a quarterback that soon. You don't have to have the number 1 quarterback or the number 1, 2, or 3, because on the way back in the 4 or 5 turn, you could still get probably one of the top 6, 7 quarterbacks, which is fine. So I would just say I would not be looking for a quarterback there. I think it's too early. If you get one of the top running backs, like a really good top running back to be your anchor, I think that would be solid. But again, depends, who you consider. Like, if I don't think Barkley would fall there, maybe he would. A guy like Chubb, if you want him as your anchor, maybe. And it's probably a little too early for him. But if not, look, it wouldn't shock me in some of these leagues if Garrett Wilson or Chris Olave does fall to that point. Chris Olave is not universally a second round pick.
No,
look
he's
for
actually
one of those
a
guys.
3rd round pick.
Yeah,
kind of
look
like
for one of those guys if they're there.
Definitely.
All right, Python says new subscriber. All right,
thank you.
Got JT in round 8. Traded him and Tyreek Hill to get Lamb and AJB. Wow, wait, so you got him in round 8. You basically traded an 8th round pick and a 1st round pick to get 2 1st round picks.
Yeah, I mean, I like Tyreek Hill a lot this year, but man, I mean, you don't have to worry about the JT situation, and you got 2 stud wide receivers. I'm going to assume you can start both those guys, and like, you're not now benching a really good wide receiver. So yeah, that's pretty well done. This,
I love seeing this kind of thing. This is like what we preach, right? Making those smart moves is not just draft a team and then set it, right? Oh,
Right.
I'll pick the guy who's got the biggest name. I'll pick the guy who I think is going to have the most. You got to think beyond that, right? There's a lot of strategy that you can do to help yourself. Yeah, sure, there's luck. I'm not going to pretend there's no luck in fantasy football.
Right.
There's a lot of luck that goes into things, but you can help yourself get luckier, in other words, by doing these things like that. This is a great move. So that's awesome. All right. So here's another question. Scott asking, are people really trading Cup right now? Should I be looking to trade him or wait and see?
Well, again, like I've talked about this a lot, it's going to come down to what you can get for Cup. If there's somebody in your league, like we saw with that other one where they got Amon-Ra St. Brown, where you can get like another stud wide receiver who isn't seeing a specialist for his hamstring at 30 years old, I think it's worth it because you just don't have to worry about that anymore. It's like, okay, I don't like, you know what I mean? Like, because we've seen this with other guys like Christian McCaffrey. I remember the first year I finally got the number one pick in one of my like redraft leagues. I'd never had the number one ever in any year. I'd never had the number one pick. Finally got the number one pick, draft Christian McCaffrey the first year where he like missed all those games. It's not fun because you're like, okay, I can't drop him. I can't do anything with him because he's too good. I don't really want to trade him because people aren't going to give me what I want for him. I just got to keep hoping he's going to come back, and then he comes back, and then he's gone again. And it's like really frustrating. So, yeah, if you could trade Cup and get a very good stud wide receiver where you don't have to worry about that, I think it's worth it. But I wouldn't be trading Cup just to get rid of the headache. Like he still has the potential to be an absolute stud receiver.
Yeah, you don't want to just like sell low or ditch him just for the sake of ditching him. If you can get what you consider equivalent value, and I'm still talking like a top 10 to 15 receiver, like you should not be selling him for for pennies. So, I mean, I hate to say the answer is it depends, but it kind of depends what you could get from him, at this point in your league. I think a lot of times the best thing is just put a feeler out, just say, put him on the trade blog, just say, hey, for the right deal, I'm willing to move Cup and see who bites. Giants and fantasy got the Tua Waddle stack or the Watson Cooper stack. Well, Tua Waddle not going against Indy. They're going against the Chargers.
Yeah. And I mean, you got to go Waddle over Cooper. I like Cooper a lot, but Waddle against the Chargers without Jalen Ramsey, I can't really bench Jalen Waddle. And I do like Tua slightly more than Deshaun Watson this week because, again, I think that's going to be just an absolute score fest. So I'm going the Tua Waddle stack.
I'm going the Tua Waddle stack as well. That might be if you happen to have both Tua and Watson. Yeah, every week you're going to be back and forth between those guys. But that's not a bad problem to have.
We saw it a lot. We got a lot of teams yesterday that had that Tua Watson stack.
Yeah, I feel that, right? It's interesting.
Yeah.
Both kind of low end QB1s. I mean, those are two of the top candidates for those mid to late round QBs to break out and have a huge season.
Definitely.
So I'd love. All right. Thank you, Jaws. Also appreciate that. We're catching up on our super chats. I know we had a little discussion in the beginning, but let's keep going until we get to the next one. That's Henry. What's up, Henry? Start 2 running backs in a flex PPR. Dobbins, Akers, Stevenson. I guess James Cook probably. Then Deontay, Drake London, St. Brown, Diggs, Mark Andrews, and Josh Allen. So 2 running backs and a flex.
I already said I don't think you can bench Stevenson. I like Akers, but I can't bench Stevenson. And I can't find a reason to bench J.K. Dobbins. If you're not starting J.K. Dobbins this week, when are you starting J.K. Dobbins? He's literally playing the worst run defense like of the last 3 years, right? Like this is one of the reasons why people love having Derrick Henry. It's because he gets to play the Texans twice. That's awesome, right? He gets what does he go for like 200 yards every time he plays the Texans? Like if you're not starting Dobbins this week, just trade him or something. Like when are you going to actually start him then? So I'm going Dobbins, Stevenson at running back. And then again, I do like Akers. I do like James Cook, Deontay, but I can't bench Drake London over those guys. assuming it's PPR, of course. So I'm going to flex London. So I'm going to go Dobbins, Stevenson at running back, and then flex London.
Definitely Stevenson, definitely Dobbins. The flex is close. I like Akers this week, but not the greatest matchup. Don't love Cook this week. Don't love Deontay this week. So most weeks I would lean towards London anyways. I think, yeah, you can go with London and be pretty happy there. So this is a pretty good lineup, by the way. Just looking at this starting lineup for if this is a 12-team league, you're in good shape.
Good lineup. Good lineup.
All right, and then we have Zabronsky.
Yes, absolutely. So this is just what we talked about. Like, you're getting a stud wide receiver who doesn't have hamstring issues right now. And look, this is the other thing. Like, look at Jerry Jeudy. What's Jerry Jeudy? 25 years old, 26, something, whatever, 25. Also strained his hamstring a few weeks ago. Everything, it looks like he's going to be back week 1, week 2, no problem. Maybe week 3 at the worst, and then he's going to be fine. Whereas Cooper Kupp strained his hamstring on August 1st and then has a setback a few weeks later and now is seeing a specialist. That's the difference between being, look, as somebody who's much older than 25 or 30, when I get a little injury now, it's there for like 2 weeks. It's like, why isn't this thing going away? Like, that at some point this year, like, tweaks his hamstring. Okay, maybe he misses a couple games and then he's back and then he's fine. So, plus he's a stud. I mean, for me, CeeDee's like right after Kupp at wide receiver anyways when Kupp was healthy. So, yeah, absolutely get CeeDee for Kupp, 100%.
1,000%. I mean, it was already close, like you said.
Yeah.
But now, yeah, Kupp is definitely below CeeDee as far as rankings go. Like you said, Kupp isn't just, it's a hamstring injury. This guy who's, 30, whatever, it's a wide receiver, it's not that old, but also who missed, we forget, missed half a season, a couple of years with injury. He's had multiple injuries. This is not a new thing for him. So, yeah, absolutely do that. Get CeeDee, do it. And then the return of Big Luscious.
What's up?
68. Oh, all right. He was with us almost every start, I think, last year. So let's rate the team. Let's see what he's got going on this year. We got Herbert and then Goff backing him up. Pollard, Rachaad White, Harrison, Bigsby, Ty Hill, DJ Moore, Christian Kirk, Addison, Quentin Johnson, Elijah Moore, and Mark Andrews.
All right, so I'm going to start with where I normally start. You don't need Jared Goff when you got Justin Herbert. Right. Like, I'd rather go pick up a dice roll. Van Jefferson, Deion Jack, I don't care. Like some dice roll on the waiver wire, go grab them. I definitely like your first 2 running backs. I'm very high on Pollard and Rachaad White this year, so that's nice. I know you like Bigsby. Damon Harris, I think he's okay. He's like he'll probably be serviceable. You're like, it's bye weeks. I need a running back. He'll be serviceable. Your wide receivers are also great. I mean, Tyreek Hill, DJ Moore, Christian Kirk, Addison and Johnson, and Elijah Moore on your bench. You got a stud tight end. I don't know how many teams this league is, but this team is very, very strong. Very good team.
Yeah, at first I looked and I said, well, Rachaad White, okay, if he's your RB2 and you're starting him, you probably have stud receivers. And I'm like, okay, Hill, Moore, and then Kirk. And I was like, maybe you should have a better wide receiver 3. And then I see why, because you got Mark Andrews. So it makes sense. So, yeah, I think this is a really solid team. Huge upside there. I like Tank a lot. So I think Rachaad White, if he falters, gets hurt or whatever, he could fill in for you. So it's young. Your bench is very young, right? You took some swings at rookies and Addison, Johnson, and Bigsby. But I like Elijah Moore a lot too. I like a lot of these players, their upside. So I think this is a very smartly drafted team. Lots of upside. That's what we want. Precision building also back in the house.
Yes.
All right. We got all of our last year. Finally, we're all stepping back up. Just one question. All right. Addison, Mims, or Zay?
Is that Zay Flowers or Zay Jones? If it's Zay Jones, I'm going Addison. If it's Zay Flowers, I think I go Flowers slightly over Addison this week because they're playing the Texans and the Vikings are playing the Bucs, who do have a good secondary. And I don't think it's going to be one of those games where the Vikings, are losing and have to throw it a bazillion times, even though they'll still throw it a lot because that's just what they do. So if it's Zay Flowers, I'm going Flowers. If it's Zay Jones, I'm going Addison.
I mean, the fact that all three of these guys, or at least the first two, are rookies makes me think it's Zay Flowers, and they're all rookie
Right.
receivers. If it's Zay Flowers, I'm going Flowers. If it's Zay Jones, yeah, I'm going Addison.
Yeah.
So if you want to clarify precision, if you want to make that comment, you don't have to super chat. You can just throw it in there. And I just shaking my head here because Big Luscious and Zabronsky clarifying he got Tyreek Hill at the 9, and so did he.
Yeah, like that. I'm saying, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you never don't go into these drafts thinking like, okay, this guy might be here, this guy might. You don't know who might be there. You really don't. You know what I mean? Like, so just know who the best players are. Which, if you watch our videos all year or have our rankings, you should know that. And if one of them is there at a ridiculous spot where they shouldn't be, draft them. Just draft them.
That's the thing, just because we're saying, hey, Tyreek Hill should be going number 3 or number 4, it doesn't mean he will. In most leagues, I guarantee you running backs go a lot earlier.
Yes.
And quarterbacks too.
Yep.
All right, let's get to Christian Chain. Rate this team 12-man PPR. Got Fields, CMC, Javonte, Olave, Ridley, and Njoku. Got Terry, Deontay, and on the bench, I guess Raheem Mostert, Boyd, Zeke, Osborne, and J-Mo.
I think that's the first time we've seen Zeke on a team.
Got some experience on that bench.
Yes. Obviously, I'm guessing you went hero RB with Javonte as your RB2. I mean, you got CMC, that's great. You got Olave, Ridley, fantastic at wide receiver. You got Field. You got Njoku. I like that. You got Terry and Deontay, so you have 2 good wide receivers behind them. I would definitely start Raheem Mostert this week over Javonte.
Oh, yeah.
But also, I feel like this is a team like I would not have gone Boyd, Osborne, and Jameson Williams because you need running back depth. Like CMC, Javonte, and Raheem Mostert and Dusty Zeke are not enough for me to feel good about my running backs. So I would have liked to seen some later round running back picks over guys like Boyd, Osborne, and Jameson Williams because you already have Olave, Ridley, Deontay, and Terry. So, but overall, I think it's a good team. Should be a contender. Might be a little rough for you early because after Raheem Mostert plays the Chargers this week, he gets a terrible run of defenses, and I don't think we're going to see. Well, I don't think we're going to really see 100% Javonte all year, to be honest. But I certainly don't think we're going to see a guy getting enough work early to be an RB2. So might be a little bit rough in the early part for you. But overall, I like the team. It should be a contender.
Yeah, I got no qualms with the starting lineup other than Javonte. I don't need to explain that again. You're going to have to swap him out with Raheem probably this week, but I'm dropping Zeke. I'm dropping Boyd. I'm picking up some more upside there. And I wonder if in your league, if Jameson Williams, can he be put on like an IR spot or something if he's suspended, right? Some leagues you can do that. I mean, you might not have that in your league, but look and find out, and then you can grab somebody else instead. All right, but this team could definitely contend. Joe, what's up, Joe again? Sleeper, rookie, tight end. Which rookie do you like better, Kincaid or Musgrave?
This year, I like Musgrave better. I really do. I don't think Kincaid is going to be as involved as people think. Like when you look at that Packers roster, pass catchers, you got Christian Watson. Okay, he's the number 1, but remember he's entering year 2. You got Romeo Doubs entering year 2. You got Jaden Reed, rookie. And you got Luke Musgrave, rookie. This is a very young pass catching group. The path for Musgrave being the number 2 or number 3 target on this team doesn't seem that steep to me. Now, what will be the number 2 or number 3 target on this team really mean? Probably not a ton, but he's a tight end. Like, what do you need? You don't need Musgrave to be Travis Kelce. Whereas you look at Kincaid, like, okay, they got Diggs. Whatever you think of Gabe Davis, he's the clear number 2. I mean, they obviously think of him as the 2, and he's there and he's established. They still have Dawson Knox, who, like, I don't think Dawson Knox is just completely disappearing. Like, I feel like the path for Kincaid this year is pretty tough. It's going to be pretty tough for him. So, out of these guys, I'm going Musgrave.
Gabe Davis is one of the captains of the team. They love him because they say about his his work ethic, his leadership. Okay. Before the NFL draft happened, my rookie tight end rankings, my number 1 guy was Mike Mayer of Raiders. My number 2 guy was Musgrave, number 3 Kincaid, and then after that was Laporta and whatever. After the draft, as soon as Kincaid went to Buffalo, everyone had him number 1. Like that was
Yes.
it because he went to Buffalo. Oh, they're going to use whatever. Okay. It doesn't change things that much. If anything, the guy who has less target competition is Musgrave. And right now, keep an eye on the fact Romeo Dobbs, remember, has been missing practice with a hamstring injury. If he's not full go in week 1, you can see Musgrave make an impact right away. I don't think we're going to see Kincaid make an instant impact. So
No.
I'm going Musgrave too. And then would you drop a Shane for Tank Dell, not Taco Bell?
I don't think so. We did. There was a report today he's back at practice. He should be fine. So I'd probably just hold a Shane to see how it plays out this week.
Yeah, keeping a Shane because running back depth more important than receiver. But also, you look at it, the preseason usage and the depth chart and everything. Tank Dell's not a starter. He's running behind Nico Collins, Robert Woods, for what it's worth. Still a starter there. I mean, I know, but look, he's going to be out there on the field. Tank Dell is not. He's going to have to work his way up. John Mechie, who I was kind of big on, and now I'm starting to realize it's going to be late season, if anything, because Mechie has just not gotten on the field much. They say he just looks like he hasn't played football in a while because he hasn't. So, yeah, Mechie was a kind of a trendy sleeper, but just realistically, he's not going to do anything in the near future. Dell, maybe eventually, but I'm not dropping her. High upside running back like a Shane for him. All right, we got more super chats, but first a couple of regular ones. Jeff Scott, thank you. Appreciate that.
Ooh.
Geno or Deshaun? Week 1.
I do really like Geno this week. I like that matchup at home, but I can't start him over Deshaun Watson against the Bengals, what will probably be a high-scoring game. I still got to play Deshaun Watson over him.
Yeah, because the one thing Deshaun does have that Geno really doesn't as much is that rushing upside. He will run, especially near the goal line. A lot better chance of him giving you that boost. And that's just that little thing that pushes him over the edge. So
that's a good point. I don't think people realize how much Deshaun Watson runs.
True. And then what do you think about this? Chris Crypto Swell. Trade Olave for Cup.
See, this is the opposite way where, like, I'd rather just roll with Olave and not worry about it. Like, I mean, I definitely have Olave, before the Cup news, I had Olave, a bit farther down. Like, he was more like an early second rounder for me, and Cup was a top 5 pick. But, man, I'd rather just have a healthy, younger Olave who's a stud, and again, not have to have the headache. So if you're getting Cup, I wouldn't do it. I would keep Olave.
I'm keeping Olave. Love Olave this year. I think he has top 10 upside. So yeah, I would rather have Olave. Now, what about this one? This might sway you the opposite direction. London for Cup.
Yeah, here I'll go. Look, I really do like Drake London. I talked about him a lot this year. I think the Falcons offense is going to surprise a lot of people. They're going to be better than people think. But at the same time, like, even if the offense is better than people think and London is better than people think, I don't think London is going to be like a top 5, top 10 wide receiver. So I'll take Cup. I'll gamble on Cup for London. I'll get rid of London, take on Cup, and see how it works out.
Yeah, because you can see Olave as a wide receiver 1 for fantasy.
Yeah.
As much as I also like London, I don't see that this year. Not this year, not this offense. I mean, I see him as a solid starter, but not wide receiver 1. So in this case, I would rather have Cup. And then this one, a quick one, because we have 2 people who have the exact same question: Sutton or D Hop? Week 1.
I mean, I really don't like D Hop week 1, but I'm not ready to start Sutton over D Hop. Like, no way. I mean, even without Jerry Jeudy and against the Raiders, like, I'm not really ready to put that much trust into the Broncos and Russell Wilson again. D Hop should at least get the targets. Even in a tough matchup, I'll take D Hop over Sutton.
We said this a lot yesterday. You got to see what that Broncos offense looks like first. I mean, I just need to see if Russ looks if there's any piece of like the Seattle version of him from years ago, if that's still there, or if he really is just toast. All right, we do have several super chats lined up, so let's get back to those. AB, what is up again? All right, so 12-man league got Lamar, got Khalil, James Cook, Diggs, Wilson, guessing Garrett, Mark Andrews, guessing Christian Watson, Hollywood, Nico, Mostert, Bigsby, Mingo, Quentin. What do you think about the RB room? It looks shallow.
Yeah, I have to assume you went 0 RB here and went Diggs, Wilson, probably Andrews, then Lamar, then Watson, then probably Hollywood. Which, look, for a 0 RB team, that's great, right? That's what you should do. And I'm guessing the rest of your league must have gone really running back heavy for you not to at least get well, you did get James Cook. So for a 0, this is the thing. When you go 0 RB, you're not going to feel good about your running backs. That's just the way it is. So, but look, to get Khalil Herbert and James Cook, I think they're at least serviceable early in the year. And the hope here is that your wide receivers, your tight end, and your quarterback carry you, and that your running backs just need to be good enough. Just be ready to, work that waiver wire, just churning and burning those running backs off the waiver wire and hope you hit on somebody. And look, you got Bigsby. Maybe at some point, it happens.
Yeah, I don't think it's happening week 1, but I do love Bigsby. Would you agree for this week? Maybe are you swapping Mostert for James Cook?
Probably this week, yeah. Only this week, though.
Yeah,
only this week.
Look, going forward, James Cook is one of probably the best 0 RB targets that you could have gotten. I mean,
for sure.
Again, you have 3 really high-end receivers and top tight end and top quarterback. So yeah, that's what this is going to look like. So given the way you drafted, I think right now roll with what you got. I'd say you probably don't need, especially with the receivers you already have. I don't think you need, right? Does he need Mingo and Quentin Johnson sitting on the bench? I would drop Mingo in order to get some sort of running back with upside.
Yeah.
But I think you're fine. Just roll with Khalil this week, roll with Mostert this week, and then take it.
I like Khalil Herbert this week. It's against Packers.
Yeah.
He should get most of the work. He should be good.
Yeah. All right, Maximus back again. 10-man league here. Now we got Trevor Lawrence, Pollard, Najee, Swift, Herbert, Tyreek Hill, Olave, Ridley, DJ Moore, George Pickens, Pittman, Cooks, Zay Flowers, Muth, and Eagles. I know it's a 10-man league, but that's still a stacked receiver room.
Yeah. So this is I think we had a couple teams last night, 10-teamers, where it's your wide receivers are pretty good, and then your running backs aren't very good. But this is one where it's your wide receivers are stacked. Oh, and your running backs are still pretty good. Because you got Tyreek, Olave, Ridley, DJ Moore, Pickens, Pittman. I mean, Pittman's your wide receiver 5? Crazy. But you still got a stud running back in Tony Pollard, and you got Najee Harris.
Yes.
And you have Swift and Herbert, who, they have upside, and you got an elite QB. Okay, you didn't get an elite tight end, but Freiermuth on this team, you don't even doesn't even matter what he does. Get you 5 points, you won't even notice. You'll be like, oh, Freiermuth only got me 5. Oh, well, I guess instead of winning by 25, I won by 20 this week. Yeah, this team's great.
And just the cherry on top here, happen to get maybe the best defense in the league. If defenses matter, the Eagles are probably the best defense. I mean, even for a 10-team league, this is stacked team.
Stacked.
No, don't change anything about this team.
No, this might be one of those teams you can just roll with just sit back. No, not really. You can never do that.
All right, then we have a cameo here from our friend who's always in the Discord, Nate. I was going to say can't tell if trolling, but I know he – Colts are working out James Robinson, so does that mean James Robinson is this year's James Robinson?
Well, which James Robinson? James Robinson from 3 years ago who came out of nowhere and was great, or James Robinson from last year who got passed around the league? If it's that one, he could be that year's James Robinson, yes. He could be 2022's James Robinson.
I'm pretty sure he's going to be the James Robinson that was just cut by the Giants.
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, he's always going to be James Robinson, but I don't think it matters what the Colts are doing at this point.
No.
Which, by the way, Nate, if you check out, let's see if you have a keen eye to it's my left, your left, your right. Anyways, See if you can see which book is now on next to the rook in my shelf. See if you get props for that. Anthony Cervantes, trade Akers for Dotson.
I mean, I think if you need I mean, it's crazy you're already thinking about bye weeks. I guess that's good. But if you've got good running backs and your wide receivers are light and you need some good depth at wide receiver, I think it's a very fair trade. Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't make a trade just because you're trying to plan for your buys. Is Akers? I hope you're RB3 or lower. I think it's fair either way. It's more about need in this case, but I think it's fine.
Yeah.
I have to put this because I think it's funny. The comment is very on point, but I also love the name. So the Libertarian Sasquatch is, bro, don't worry about buys yet. It's a little too soon. I think that's on point.
Yes.
I'm very curious if the Libertarian Sasquatch is actually a thing. Kevin R. See, always things we don't expect. 10 team, 3 receiver, 1 flex. Mahomes, Walker, Gibbs, Diggs, Lamb, Watson, Deontay Johnson, Kincaid, and then got Flowers, JSN, Addison, Madison, Herbert, Bigsby, Mitchell. This is another really good 10-team league team.
Yeah, very good team. You got a great quarterback. Your Diggs, Lamb, Christian Watson. That's insane. With Deontay there, you got Gibbs and Walker. That's fine at running back. Obviously, you went. I'm guessing you just completely punted tight end because you got Kincaid. I don't know who's available on the waiver wire, but like if Higbee is still out there, I'd grab Higbee to play over Kincaid this week. But I like your bench too. So really, I mean, my only advice is, just go see if like a guy like maybe Higbee is on the waiver wire. Maybe even Kmet. I'd probably play Kmet over Kincaid this week. So just go look, see if somebody like that's on the waiver wire. But other than that, great team. Great team.
Yeah. I mean, well, you get Watson as your wide receiver 3 in a 10-team league. Love it. Kincaid, yeah, you can do better in a 10-team, but I don't think it'll matter too much. You got a ton of upside, so that's it. I don't really think you have to do anything with this team. This is very good. I would look for somebody else at tight end, at least to stash on the bench or something. You know, it's funny too. I mentioned this. I did do that. I joined that public league just for kicks last night. JSN was not even drafted in that league. He's just out there in waivers. I didn't draft him either because I was like, well, I already got so many players, but I think I might pick him up. Yeah. Crazy. You don't know what's out there.
Don't know.
You don't
never
know. Chocolate Rain. Thanks. Tied last year, thanks to you guys. Tie is not good enough. That's just
I think a lot of teams. Well, remember a lot of leagues did ties last year because of that week 17.
Like the forced tie. I don't know. It still leaves that taste. It's like yesterday, right? We wound up drawing in chess, and I was like, normally if I can just get a draw with you, I'm happy because it's like a victory because it's against you. But it didn't taste good because I should have won because I was up.
Yeah.
So I kind of blew it. But anyways, yeah, nobody wants a tie. All right, but last year was weird. And this year will be weird in a different way, I'm sure. All right, so this team has Lamar, Chubb, Dobbins, CeeDee, Debo, Kittle. On the flex, Mike Evans. Bench has Herbert, Monty, Nico, Judy, and Purdy.
I don't know how many teams this is, but I mean, it's a good team. You got a stud quarterback. You got 2. Look, people think I hate Nick Chubb. I don't hate Nick Chubb. I think Nick Chubb will be very good this year. He'll be what he always is, a very good fantasy running back. So you got 2 good running backs. You got CeeDee and Debo. When Judy comes back, assuming Russ doesn't look completely cooked against the Raiders this weekend, you should at least have a decent, between him, Mike Evans, Herbert, Montgomery, you should have some good flex choices every single week. I'm going to say it again. I don't know why you have Brock Purdy when you have Lamar. Like, if you lose Lamar Jackson, I got bad news for you. Brock Purdy isn't coming to save your team. Like, plugging in Brock Purdy for Lamar Jackson isn't going to do it. Like, it's not like, not going to be the same. Not going to be quite the same. I'd drop Purdy and just grab like some kind of dice roll or whatever, but that's minor. But overall, it's a very good team. Very good.
I did notice, and this team does have Debo and Kittle, so maybe a Niners fan, who knows? But yeah, you only have 2 receivers on your bench. You should probably pick up another receiver instead of Purdy. Usually we'll say with two receivers or receiver tight end, it's okay to have guys on the same team. Debo and Kittle, you really wonder how many touches are to go around. So that's a duo. I wonder if they kind of offset each other in terms of one guy has a big week, the other guy doesn't. But I think it's fine. Like, assuming this is a 12-team league, you're good. Your starting lineup is good. I don't love Evans, but I don't know if he's really got a lot of trade value right now. So,
unless he gets traded in real life,
he's gonna get traded. Well, and you know what? If he does get traded in real life, and especially if he does go to the Giants, I'm trading him as soon as that happens, because then people will all of a sudden assume that he somehow has more fantasy value, which would be really weird. But anyways, Suzanne, first year in a 12-man PPR keeper league. All right. So let's see. 2 receivers, 2 running backs, 2 flex. Had no keepers, but drafted Burrow, Bijan, JT in the 6th. Khalil Herbert, Mitchell Bigsby, Higgins, Watson, Williams, Burks.
I'm going to say right off the bat, that JT 6th-round pick, you may look back on that and just laugh at the rest of your league. I don't know how your league does keepers. I don't know if it's just like straight keeper or if it's a round keeper, but like if next year you're keeping JT in the 6th, you may make your league mates look ridiculous. So I like that a lot, especially in a keeper league. As far as your team right now, okay, you got Bijan, and then you got Herbert, who I think he's like okay as an RB2, not really a lot behind him. But you got some good young receivers, Higgins, Watson. I'm assuming that's Mike Williams,
probably
Burks. So I mean, between Bijan, JT, Higgins, Watson, and Burrow, you should have maybe even Burks. Who knows? You should have no problem having 3 keepers next year. So I think for your first year in this league, you did pretty well. You did pretty well.
Yeah, the only thing with taking JT in this format is because you're starting 2 flex, and so you got Higgins, Watson as your receivers, Williams as another flex. You're going to have to go Bijan, and then I guess Herbert as your other running back. So you still need another flex. You really don't want to flex Mitchell or Bigsby, and Burks is very iffy for this week. So the only thing is, while JT is out, and if JT's out for a while, you might be kind of pulling from here and there to try to get that second flex filled, with confidence. But for a keeper league, it was still a smart pick, getting him in the 6th. Because even if it doesn't matter what round you took him, next year you roll with Bijan and JT in your backfield, and you keep Higgins or maybe Watson. Yeah, so I think this is pretty good. You did a pretty good job. Look back to this. Look, CR asked the beginning of the stream and was there to the end. You did get an answer. It was the very last. We saved it for the very, very end. The very last comment. I think we got one super chat after that. But all right, so let's answer it so you're clear, because we did answer this yesterday. You rewind the tape. 3 receivers, 1 flex, half PPR, start 2. Sutton, Cooks, Hollywood, and Mostert. And we said,
I said Sutton and Mostert this week. I like Mostert against Chargers. I'll gamble on Sutton against the Raiders without Jerry Jeudy. That Russ is at least, not completely cooked. Just can't trust Hollywood right now with Clayton Tune. Look, maybe Clayton Tune goes out there and looks halfway decent, and then we can start feeling okay about Hollywood until Kyler comes back. But right now, I can't do it. So I'm going to go Sutton and Mostert.
Yeah, I can't start Hollywood. I'm going Mostert, and I'll go Sutton too. It's really close between Cooks and Sutton. But Sutton does have the better matchup. So if Jeudy is out for sure, then yeah, go with Sutton. So there you go. All right, let's go now. Oh, wait a minute. I don't want to skip one. I almost skipped one. We got Christopher Laborde. So
Perrier. Chris and Perrier.
That's me. I go by many names. Rate my team 1 to 10. All right, we got to slap a number on this one. 10-man league.
What's up, Christopher? Good to see you.
Full PPR. Got Jalen Hurts, Bijan, Tony Pollard, Garrett Wilson, Olave, Njoku, flexes, Dobbins, defense.
Wait, what? Okay, I know it. This is what we're saying. I know it's a 10-team league, but how do you get Bijan Robinson, Tony Pollard, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, and Jalen Hurts on the same team? Like those guys all go in 12-team leagues inside the top like 35, 40 players. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 5 guys inside that you got inside the top 35 players. Like, this is what I'm saying. You never know how these drafts are going to go. Yeah, your team's tremendous. Tremendous.
Yeah. I mean, for our drafts and our rankings, the way we have it, Bijan, Pollard, Wilson, Olave, all should be top 24 picks.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So your team, rate my team 9.5 maybe.
I mean, only because you have David Njoku instead of like Travis Kelce.
Right. Yeah. That's
But
the
you
only
didn't get Travis. You didn't get Travis Kelce. You got David Njoku, so you get like a 9-9.
Man, very, very well done. All right, we're catching up in the super chats. If you dropped a super chat, don't worry, we're getting there. But I have a couple of regular chats here I want to get answers to. Office Depot,
Is
always
Office
open.
Depot still in business, by the way? They go out of business.
I think it's Office Max that's closed. They got taken over or something. I don't know.
Okay.
All right, so been offered in Dynasty.
Oh, nice.
Superflex, a 2025 first for JT. They've been counting with 24 first or nothing. What do you think about throwing out some first round futures for JT?
I think I'm probably okay with it. I mean, certainly I would give up a 2025 first for JT. I mean, you're still talking about a 24-year-old running back here who's a great talent. For the 2024 first, it's going to depend where. If it's like a top 3, 4, maybe 5 pick, probably not.
This is super flex too.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Because you're looking at like probably kind of like this year. You're gonna probably be looking at least 2, maybe 3 QBs in the top 5, at least Marvin Harrison Jr., if not other wide receivers, probably a couple running backs. Like this is another really good class. So if it's an early 2024 first, probably not. But if you think it's a later first, like if your team is really good and you're really strong and you think you have a chance to contend this year and it's going to be a later first, then I'll do it for JT. Because look, we know JT when healthy is a stud. But if it's an early first, I'd rather just keep it. You can always draft another running back next year in the, early in the first who's will potentially be like 4 years younger than JT. So yeah. Late first, Dynasty, yes. Early first, no.
Yeah, early first, no. Agree. In Dynasty, you don't want to overpay for running backs for sure. No. In Superflex, especially for next year's class. So yeah, if it's it would have to be at least pick 6 or later, I think, to even entertain that. There's a reason why they're countering with that. They're saying no, they want the 24 first. There's a reason.
Yeah,
not just because it's sooner. What do you think about this from YouTube? Great Fortnite Cookie.
Yes.
Pickens and Jamal Williams for Pollard.
Absolutely. I mean, barring injury, there's almost no path for Jamal Williams even being close to as good as Tony Pollard. And sure, Pickens has some upside, but I mean, he's also super risky. There's a reason why he goes where he goes. So yes, these are the type of trades that can win you championships. You take 2 like good players and you turn them into 1 elite player, and suddenly your team is stacked. Definitely do this.
Definitely do this. Yeah, you're not going to miss Jamal Williams at any point.
No.
Really. I like Pickens, but I like a high-end running back better.
Yeah.
And then Max, I'll let you take this one on. Wife had me draft James Cook instead of Dameon Pierce.
Well, I mean, look, I like James Cook, and maybe at the end of the season it will end up being a win. But you know why it's a win, Max? You know why it's a win? Because happy wife, happy life. So win. This was a win.
Big win for listening. That's exactly right.
Yes.
All right.
Exactly. Whether Dameon Pierce is better or not doesn't matter. You won. You still won.
There you go. You're the winner here. Precision Building said he only had 1 question. That was a lie. He's got another question here. Quick grade on my starters. All right. We're happy to do that. Hertz, Gibbs, AJ Brown, Zay Flowers, Muth, Pirine. Pirine's a starter. I'm wondering if he has JT. San Francisco, Jake Elliott with Kamara on the bench. Also thoughts on stacking. I guess just well, he's got the Hurts Brown stack, so
Yeah, my thoughts on stacking in redraft is like, sure, it's nice, but it's not a necessity. And sometimes it's not nice because sometimes the team gets completely shut down
mm-hmm.
and you lose. Like that's the difference between like, because I know stacking has become very popular because of, sites like Underdog with their best ball drafts are becoming so much more popular. And there it's important because you only care about scoring the most possible points you can every single week. And like if the Eagles have a bad game, okay, you probably drafted at least another quarterback. Maybe that quarterback has a good game and some other wide receiver has a good game. And you don't get the sting of Hurts and AJ Brown having a bad game. In your redraft league, if the Eagles have a bad game, you pretty much are going to take the L. You're going to take the L that week. So I don't think stacking is a necessity in redraft. It's still nice because again, the flip side is when AJ Brown scores 2 touchdowns, your opponent like you just coast to a huge victory, right? Because your quarterback threw 2 touchdowns to your receiver. So if I can do it, I'll do it, but I'm not going to force it, I guess is what I'm saying in redraft.
Yeah.
As for the grade on the starters, yeah, well, Zay Flowers is a starter for you, and Pirine is a starter for you. Like, I like Hurts, I like Gibbs, I like AJ Brown, I like Muth. I think Zay Flowers will be good. I don't know if I like Pirine as an every week starter. So I'll say like a 7.
And I don't remember if this is the same team as before. I don't remember what the original question was. If this was a JT team, yeah, Pirine, look, drafted him a lot this season, like him, but I don't want to have to start him, especially week 1. So, yeah, you've got some high end options in there, but yeah, could be hurting with Pirine and Flowers both already in there. So, yeah, I think 7, maybe 6.5.
Yeah, that's where I was actually going to go first.
All right, Samuel Piazza, 14 team, the last pick in the half PPR. What do you think about this team? Fields, Pollard, Sanders, Lamb, Watson, Musgrave, Thielen, Carlson, Eagles defense, and on the bench, Kamara, Dillon, Warren, Ty Chandler. Very nice, Ty Chandler, and then Bateman, Hyatt, Wilson.
Yeah, that's another guy. Like some of the people we've answered their questions, and we're saying like drop this quarterback or whatever, drop this receiver, go pick somebody up. Ty Chandler, not a bad bench stash. He's the clear number 2 behind Madison. So, as for the team, obviously you got a great quarterback. I like your running backs like Pollard, Sanders. That should be great. You got Lamb and Watson. That's a ton of upside at QB. Again, I like Musgrave. I think Musgrave can be good. I feel like there should be better options at tight end early in the season. I would go look again. Like, is Higbee out there? Is Kmet out there? I mean, look, maybe if Romeo Dobbs doesn't play, maybe that helps Musgrave a bit. But we got to remember, this is a tight end making his first NFL start.
Yeah,
Not ready to bank on a good Musgrave game right out the bat here. As for the bench, Kamara, Dillon, Warren, I'm kind of like I kind of like your bench, but then I kind of don't. Like I'm not really Kamara, Hyatt. But I like Dillon. I think Warren's fine on your bench. I like Chandler. I like Bateman. So kind of like half and half on your bench.
yeah. I mean, again, this is a 14 teamer. It's going to be a little deeper,
True.
but you probably could have got a different tight end than Musgrave. I like Musgrave, but maybe as your second tight end or something like that. I'm trying to figure out Wilson. Is that Jeff Wilson? Because you could drop him if it's Jeff Wilson.
Yeah.
Michael Wilson. I don't know.
Maybe Michael Wilson.
So in general, I would say solid, pretty solid. I mean, you definitely have some potential big scores with Fields and Lamb and Watson. So yeah, tight end, just see what else is out there. Maybe got some interesting upside on the bench. So I don't know. I don't think you have to make any sort of moves right now. I mean,
no, except tight end. If there's a tight end that you feel better about in week 1, I would do that.
well, is Thielen a starter here? Is Thielen the flex play?
Yeah.
Would you flex Bateman over Thielen probably?
Probably. I mean, maybe.
It's
Probably.
close.
I mean, I don't. I wouldn't even have Thielen, so wouldn't have to think about it. But
Right. All right. Let's go to Quinner, who is up here. 12-team half PPR, CMC Cup, CMC and Cup. Okay.
wow.
And Mahomes, Watson, Dotson, Williams, Waller, Sutton, Sky, Pierre, McKinnon, Zay Jones, Spears, Rashawn, and Mingo. Okay. So if Cup's out, who to start?
I'm gonna assume. I guess well. I don't know how many you start, but I would order them Watson, Mike Williams, Dotson, and then I'm gonna assume you don't need Sutton or Sky Moore. So I would order. So I don't know if you're starting 2 or 3, but that's how I would order them: Watson, Mike Williams, Dotson would be my order. If you start all 3 of them, great. Light on running back trade ideas.
Yeah, because it looks
Where,
like
where
this
are
is
your
another
running
team
backs?
where P. Ryan is the RB2.
Okay, got CMC. Okay. P. Ryan, McKinney. Yeah, definitely light on running backs. I mean, but I don't know what you're gonna do
Yeah, there's not much to do right now.
unless you could trade Cup for like a guy like Tony Pollard or something like that. Because you do have 3. Like you have Watson, Dotson, and Mike Williams, so it's not like you're completely dust at wide receiver if Cup, doesn't play. You still have good wide receivers. Maybe now's the time to try to see if like you can trade Cup for an elite running back and fix that running back problem and not really take a huge hit at wide receiver necessarily, and also not have to worry about Cup. So if not, I don't know. You're just gonna have to churn and burn that waiver wire and try to find an RB2. Which, like, look, I always say, RB2 is your weakness. That's not a bad thing because RB2s start by week 3, week 4, week 5. RB2s start popping up on the waiver wire almost every single week.
This is true. I mean, yeah, if you can get a high-end running back for Cup,
Yes.
you can do it. But don't trade out of desperation. It's too early for that. So
Yes, yeah.
yeah, CMC and Mahomes, and then some of those receivers had big games. You could be fine. So, and then we says comments down here. What is up, Fryermuth or Juwan Johnson this week?
Patty Fryermuth. I think I know who you're gonna pick. I still don't think I can bench Fryermuth for Johnson. I know Fryermuth has a tougher matchup. Johnson has a really good matchup, actually. But man, I don't know. Fryermuth to me just feels like one of those guys I just set and forget and don't think about. So I'm sticking with Fryermuth.
Well, I am going to go Juwan Johnson, not just because he's one of my sleepers I like this year, but this week you got to think about Fryermuth going against the Niners.
Yeah, I know.
Fred Warner is like the best cover linebacker in the
Yes.
NFL. Like he's just, I mean, that's one
for
position where they can take it away. So I don't feel too confident in Fryermuth this week. Going forward, he'll be a totally fine guy you can kind of set and mostly forget. This week, I take a shot on Juwan Johnson. Got a pretty soft matchup against the Titans.
Very
and then one receiver, one flex. You got Kay Allen, Higgins, or DJ Moore. We got to sit one of those guys.
I think this week I'm going to sit DJ Moore, even though I like him. I mean, Higgins against the Browns, like not too worried about that. Keenan Allen against the Dolphins, I'm not worried about that. DJ Moore's got the tougher matchup. So even though I like DJ Moore, just because you have 2 really good other options, I'm going to sit DJ Moore this week.
It's tough to sit any of these guys. I think this week, even though he might have been drafted last in a lot of leagues out of these guys, I think Keenan Allen is the guy I definitely want in there.
Yep.
And then I like Higgins. Can't bench Higgins. So the only thing with Moore, not really opposed to starting this week, but he will get Jair Alexander quite a bit. So potential for him not to have a big game. So I guess go Allen and Higgins.
Yeah. That's gonna be a tough decision week to week, though, figuring those 3 guys out for sure.
Okay, so we're gonna have to rewind here. Chris Laborde said Rachaad White, not Pollard. That's a big difference.
It's a big difference. It's a big difference, Chris.
Let me go back so I can see, so we make sure we know what we're talking about here. So
That is certainly a big difference. As
Okay,
much
so
as I like Rashad White, that's a big difference.
okay, so instead of Bijan Robinson, Tony Pollard, it's Bijan Robinson and Rashad White.
I mean, certainly you go from this insane, ridiculous team, but you still have a very good team. I mean, Rashad White is your RB2 with Bijan is fine. You still got your stud wide receivers. You got Dobbins on the bench. You still have a very good team. So, okay, instead of a 9-9, you're now like at 8-5. Still very good. Still very good.
Yeah, we still like White. I mean, obviously not
Yeah.
like Pollard, but yeah. All right, and then did we do this one?
No.
Okay, I don't think we did
Not
this
looking,
one, so
not
apologies.
looking
We
familiar.
didn't skip you, Hamad. Fields, Barkley, Jacobs, Olave, Ridley, Goddard, Herbert, Saints, and Tucker. Got Tank, Mitchell, I guess Amir, Hunt. Yeah, I know we're going to say here Hunt and Gino, Mike Evans, Jameson Williams. 10-team standard. It's a 10-team league. You don't need a backup quarterback. You don't need Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, you don't need a backup. You don't need a running back who's not even on an NFL roster right now. But I'm gonna say, I for a standard scoring team, I like this team. You got two very good running backs in Barkley and Jacobs. You got a stud QB. You got two upside wide receivers. All you can really hope for is like touchdowns. You got a good tight end who has touchdown potential. And then you got guys like Herbert, Tank, Elijah Mitchell, Zamir White. Even Evans in standard scoring might be okay this year because Evans is one of those guys who still can like hit a big play and is still going to be a threat around the red zone. Because in standard scoring, like you don't care about a guy catching 6 or 7 or 8 passes if they're only getting 10 yards a catch. Because Mike Evans can have like 3 catches for the same amount of yards and maybe have a touchdown and outscore that guy badly. So I think for 10-team standard, this is a really good team. Even with a backup quarterback in Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, I'll say it's a really good starting lineup. The bench does need some work. Again, drop Jameson Williams, drop Geno Smith, drop Kareem Hunt. Those guys aren't going to really do anything for you. So, and in fact, Zamir White, I'm sorry, I have to. I mean, I guess because he's your handcuff to Josh Jacobs, but you don't have to hold on to him. But yeah, this is the way a 10-team league, a team should look. You should have this kind of guys. Did we do this one too? I want to make sure I didn't.
No.
Okay. So James, rate squad. Any upgrades? This is a 12-team. Pick 9th. It's PPR. Got Dak at QB, Bijan and Stevenson and Dobbins and Connor and Bigsby. And JT on the IR.
Wow.
Okay, but wait. There's more. Wide receiver. He also has Lamb and Ridley.
All right, is this another one where he's going to type in later like, sorry, instead of Bijan and Stevenson, I meant like, Akers and Khalil Herbert. Like, how do you get Bijan, Stevenson, Lamb, and Ridley? And well done.
But see, this is a smart one. Okay, so Dak has been going really late this year in drafts. I don't know why. Like, just way too late. So he waited on a quarterback. You got Dak solid. Obviously waited on tight end, whatever. Because you have two legit stud receivers, 2 legit stud running backs, and then Dobbins, who should be an RB2 starting every week. So I think this is a great team.
Yeah, great team. I mean, and Dak's another one. We talked about Tua and Watson. Dak's another guy, I think, going in those kind of like later middle-ish round quarterbacks that could definitely be like a top 10, maybe even a top 5 quarterback this year. So I love getting Dak. Yeah, great team. I don't even care that your tight ends are bad because it doesn't, like, again, you get your 6 points from your tight ends, you're not even going to notice. It's fine.
No. I will say the one thing is if your depth at wide receiver, you only have Evans and Sutton. Not sold on Evans this year. Sutton, we'll see. I would probably drop Kincaid to get another young receiver, somebody with a little more upside, just a little bit more wide receiver depth. But yeah, you're starting line. You're killing it. All right, let's get down here to Dick Dastardly, 626.
All right.
12-man PPR, 1 keeper. Got Mondre in the 7th. Very nice.
Nice.
Herbert, Gibbs, Kamara, Zeke, Rashawn Warren at wide receiver, Diggs, Allen, Dotson, Mims, Jacoby Myers, Van Jefferson, tight end, Musgrave, Henry, and then Baltimore defense.
I mean, obviously having Ramondre Stevenson in the 7th as your keeper is a very nice luxury. I think I'm trying to figure out how he started. Well, a lot of keepers. So obviously went Diggs early. I probably would have. I feel like this team should have had a better wide receiver. I like Keenan Allen, but I feel like, since you already had a Ramondre, you could have kind of like waited. You almost had like a hero RB build, but you got your hero RB in the 7th. So I would have liked, especially in a PPR league, I would have liked to stack some more early round wide receivers. You got Herbert, you got Gibbs. Like I probably went to gone Gibbs. I don't know what wide receivers were on the board when you took Gibbs, but I would have probably liked to wait a little bit. But that being said, I mean, Diggs, Keenan Allen, Dotson is good at wide receivers. You don't really have much depth behind him. I mean, Mims and Myers, like that could be and Van Jeff, that could be dicey. And Kamara and Zeke on the same team. Wow.
We're looking forward to that. Yeah.
Yeah. The
I know
depth
this.
on this team is really, really not there.
Well, it's funny. If that last team we just went over was a 12-team league, and then this is a 12-team league, it's like very different, right? They're very different build. And I get that there's keepers, so it's not as much, out there. But yeah, if you already had Mondre, maybe could have waited. I mean, I feel like since your tight end was kind of an afterthought here, there should be a little bit more talent, I guess, like you said, at receiver. So
Yeah.
I like Dotson, but I feel like he might be getting a little overdrafted at this point. And then Mims and Myers are like, do depth, but you don't really want to start those guys. So
Right.
yeah. So it's okay. I think it's okay. And then Isaac, what's up, Isaac? Thank you again, Isaac, from yesterday, Isaac K. This time we'll talk about a 10-team non-PPR. It's home league,
All
so
right.
don't judge. RB1 and 2 got Pollard and Walker. Flex 1 and 2, Deion Jackson and Monty. Bench is Damian Pierce. Okay, Charbonnet, Pirine, Dotson, Deontay, and Elijah Moore. What do you think? We need to switch up that flex.
Yeah, I'm definitely flexing Pierce over Deion Jackson. I'm fine with Monty as your second flex, especially in non-PPR, but I'm not ready to roll with Deion Jackson in my lineup just yet. Like I know Damian Pierce, it's the Ravens, and you're worried, like, oh my God, CJ Stroud on the road against the Ravens. But all signs are pointing to Damian Pierce being a 3-down back this year, which means pass catching, which means even if they're getting blown out, Damian Pierce will still be on the field, which wasn't the case last year. That was the thing. That was the big, like, kind of hindrance to his upside last year, as the Texans would start falling way behind, and Rex Burkhead would be out there instead of Damian Pierce, annoyingly. That doesn't seem to be the issue this year. It looks like he's going to be the 3rd-down guy. So even if game script isn't on their side, which it probably won't be, I think he still has plenty of value. I'm putting Damian Pierce over Deion Jackson for sure.
Yeah. Deion Jackson is like, if you have no better option, Damian Pierce should still be out there, even in a tough matchup. And then I'm going to go ahead and say, if you have Dotson on your bench, I'm putting Dotson over Monty. I mean, that's what it looks like, right? He says bench, Pierre Sharp, Aaron Dotson, Deontay, even maybe Deontay. But yeah, I would put Dotson. I would put Dotson and Pierce as your flexes.
If it was PPR, I would say for sure. It's just that standard scoring a little, like.
Are you thinking touchdown upside favors Monty?
That's the thing, because again, my home league used to be standard scoring for like the first 3 years. And one thing I learned was that wide receivers don't score fantasy points in standard scoring. They just don't. Like, I mean, yeah, they do when they score touchdowns. But like a running back can go out there and run for 120 yards and not score a touchdown. It's like, okay, I got 12. But look, 12 in standard is a big game. It's a big game. A wide receiver gets 7 catches for 70 yards. You get 7. You're like, okay. Do I feel good? Like, I think I feel better about Monty falling into the end zone this week against the Chiefs without Chris Jones than I do about Dotson. So I don't know. I'm probably still going Monty because it's non-PPR personally.
Makes sense. I mean, yeah, because you're not getting any, reward for those receptions necessarily.
Yeah,
The thing to me though with Monty is, yeah, it doesn't matter if he catches passes for the sake of catching passes, but he's not really getting receiving yardage that much. He's not one of these dual threat kind of running backs.
true.
So it's close there. I mean, yeah, if you feel better about Monty's touchdown chances, that would make sense. So I just think Dotson against Arizona potential without Terry for a 100-yard game, something like that, big game,
True.
touchdown upside too.
True. I
Um,
mean, I like Dotson a lot this week, so
yeah, it's close there. And we have a regular chat from a user who goes by the name of Bus. I don't know if you're familiar with this. Love the emojis. He knows how to get to us. All right. Let's do this quickly. Thoughts on guys like DK Metcalf and Amari Cooper?
well, I'll start with Amari Cooper. I really like Amari Cooper this year. I really think we see a much better Deshaun Watson. I mean, I saw a stat today. It was like the best passer ratings over the last however many seasons. And the only person ahead of Deshaun Watson, surprisingly, was Patrick Mahomes over that stretch. Because people seem to forget that Deshaun Watson was an absolute elite quarterback in Houston. And then because he had like 7 terrible games with Cleveland last year, he's now dust at 27 years old, apparently. So I think Deshaun Watson is going to be great this year. And by extension, so will Amari Cooper. I think DK Metcalf will still be good. I think he was definitely being overdrafted for a long time this offseason when he was going in like round 2. I don't think that's where he should be going. But I think he'll still be good. I think he'll still have some big weeks, and he could have. I definitely like him a lot this week because JSN is out and they get the Rams. But I think, as the season goes on and JSN gets more involved in the offense, it's going to kind of limit his upside to a degree. So I like DK Metcalf, but I really like Amari Cooper.
Yeah, if you're talking 12-man league, I like Cooper as kind of a solid 3rd-round pick, early mid-3rd round. DK to me is more of a 4th-round guy. And
Yeah.
I would just say, I never thought I'd say this, but DK Metcalf, he feels just more like a floor guy to me, honestly. Like 1,000 yards, sure. 13, 14, 1,500, I don't think so. Not in that offense. So good, solid wide receiver 2 if you're waiting a little bit on wide receiver 2, but I prefer Cooper. Got a super sticker here from Ryan Torres. And
Thanks.
The question is, should I trade Jamal Williams and Elijah Moore for Mark Andrews?
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, like, what did you say when it was the Jamal Williams and whoever traded for Tony Pollard? You're not going to miss Jamal Williams. You're not going to miss Jamal Williams. Look, maybe Elijah Moore breaks out and is great this year, or maybe he doesn't because, look, there's risk there, right? Like Mark Andrews, you're getting an elite tight end. I'm guessing both these guys are on your bench. I'm going to assume you're not starting Elijah Moore and Jamal Williams every week, I hope. So you're trading probably 2 bench guys for an elite tight end that you're going to play every week. Definitely do that.
Definitely do that. And then he's asking Elijah Moore or something else for Sky Moore. I think Elijah Moore could score as many points as Sky Moore, basically. So
yeah, they're kind of like that same tier of guys where it's like the potential is there, but the potential for them to do nothing is also there.
Right. But you're not going to worry about trading Elijah Moore for Sky Moore because you're taking that first trade. If you can get Mark Andrews for Moore and Williams, do that now. Yeah, maybe you can trade something else for Sky Moore. And then Hernan Ramos has Burrow, Devontae Adams, Godwin, Jones, I guess maybe Aaron Jones and Stevenson.
Maybe.
Schultz, Connor, Kupp, Rashad White, Addison, Burks. Okay, so the question is trade Kupp for Gibbs and then package together some 2 RB deal for a wide receiver 1. Okay, let's start with the first thing. Would you trade Kupp for Gibbs?
No, I'll hold Kupp. I mean, I like Gibbs, but I mean, that's not what I mean by trading him for a stud. Like, I'm gonna hold Kupp. So then I guess I'm not going to trade my top 2 running backs for a wide receiver 1. But also, like when you do this, because I've tried to do this before, where it's like, well, I'll make this deal, and then I'll make this deal. The problem is if you don't make that second deal, you might regret making that first deal. Like, so unless you
Yeah.
already know you're going to make that second deal, like somebody told you, like if you were like, hey, if I can get Gibbs and I trade you Gibbs and Stevenson for Tyreek Hill, will you do it? And the guy's already said yes. Okay, then maybe I make that trade because I know I'm going to get Tyreek Hill out of it, right? But if you're just hoping that you can trade Gibbs and Stevenson for Tyreek Hill or Jamar Chase or somebody like that, and then you don't, are you going to be okay with not having Kupp and having Gibbs instead? So I just don't make the first deal.
Yeah, if it's contingent on the first deal, it doesn't matter because you should get more than Gibbs. I like the thinking. I like the thinking ahead, though. I like that you're trying to make some moves. This just isn't the move to make. But I mean, looking at it, you probably do want to shake some things up. Your team is very experienced with guys like Devontae Adams and Godwin and Connor. So I do get flipping Kupp for something else. That does make sense in the long run. I mean, you got talented players in your team, but yeah, I think maybe shake something up. Hard to say exactly what without knowing all the different variables in your league, though. All right, now I'm gonna go back here because we got somebody who's new to fantasy. He's in rate my team, new everything. So I think he might need some help here based on what feedback the community has given his roster. We'll put it that way. Make it nice. Watson, Mostert, White, Metcalf, Judy, Everett, Deontay Johnson, some kicker on the bench. Those guys.
Yeah, I mean, you're new to fantasy. I mean, like I
hope
don't
there's like a running back missing or something.
Yeah, I don't like. I'm not. Yeah, I mean, okay, your first draft, it didn't go great, but hey, that's how you learn. That's how you learn. So, I mean, I would definitely drop Howell and see who's on the waiver wire. Again, my first instinct would be like, is Tyler Higbee on the waiver wire? Because I really don't want to start Gerald Everett as my tight end every week. So look for Higbee on the waiver wire because you don't need Sam Howell. I know you got a Okonkwo on your bench. I would drop him too. Like I just don't think you need to be starting Okonkwo. Yeah, I mean, look, you're probably going to struggle this year. I'm just being real. You're going to struggle, but hey, it's your first year. Join our live streams, watch our videos. Ask us questions, and you'll be ready next year. That's what I got for you.
I mean, I'm trying to figure out honestly, like how this went down. Like, who was your first round pick? Honestly, who was
Metcalf?
Can't. I mean, there's got to be some players missing. Like, I don't know. All right. Rick Horn wants to know 12-team PPR. What do we think of this team? T-Law, and then Chubb, Barkley, Keenan Allen, Ridley, Juwan Johnson, Mike Evans, Eagles defense, Jason Myers. On the bench, got Ayuk, Charbonnet, Piron, Gainwell, Van Jefferson, Elijah Moore, and Tank Bigsby.
All right, well, I'm pretty sure you went double RB to start, which is fine. You got two very good running backs. You still got Keenan and Ridley, so I like your wide receivers. You got T-Law. I think you got Ayuk and Evans. I think right now you have Ayuk, Evans in the flex. I'd probably go Ayuk personally. I like your bench though. I mean, you got Charbonnet, you got Pirine, you got Gainwell, you got Van Jeff, Elijah Moore, Bigsby. I like your bench a lot, honestly.
Yeah.
So I think for a 12 team, it's a solid team. Obviously, when you go double RB, your wide receivers are going to suffer a little bit, but I don't think your wide receivers are terrible. I mean, between Barkley, Keenan, Ayuk, and Evans, you should be okay most weeks. So I think it's a very solid team. Very solid.
Yeah, you might not have a clear wide receiver one for fantasy, guy who is top 10, 12, whatever. But look, if your running backs carry you and they're both studs, then you'll be okay. You've got a really good quarterback. Evans is where it's a little iffy, but you swap him out with Ayuk, and I think you'll be fine. So I do like the bench pieces. I'll agree with that. I like the bench. So I think this is good. This is a pretty good contender.
Yep.
And then what's up, Rise? Back again.
What's up?
RB2, White or Sanders?
I'm going White. I just like his pass catching potential against the Vikings. And game script doesn't matter for him because either they're going to be in a close game and they're going to lean on him, or they're going to be losing and throwing to him. So I like White over Sanders. And then I'm definitely flexing Ridley. It's going to be very hard for me not to have Ridley in my lineup pretty much every single week, but especially this week. I talk about that in what's today? Is today Monday? Today's Monday. I talk about that in Wednesday's video.
There you go.
All the days are blurring together. I need football to start so I at least know when Thursday, Sunday, and Monday is, because right now all the days are blurring together.
Well, how I know what today is a day off. That's what it is.
That's
a
true.
good thing.
Day off for you. So
yeah, it's close between these two. But based on matchup, I'll go with White. I mean, Minnesota defense should be terrible. And then you got to start Ridley. Definitely got to start Ridley, especially this week. And then another one from Chris Laborde.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. 10-team standard. Okay, 10-team and standard. Keep that in mind. Is this different from the other one, or does this look similar? Maybe this is a different one. Maybe this is why he was confused.
My question is, do you actually have Bijan and Pollard this time? Okay.
All right. So let's assume this is a squad. Okay, got Lawrence, Bijan, Pollard, Olave, Dotson, Andrews, Rashad White, Commanders, Carlson. Okay, yeah, a lot of leagues. I get that. Okay, so this is a different team. 10-team standard. What do you think?
Well, it's fantastic because you have two awesome running backs, and that's what you need in standard. And then you have guys like Olave and Dotson. Again, at wide receiver, especially in standard scoring, you really need to go for upside at wide receiver. Because like I said, like these, 6 catches for 75 yards in your PPR league, you're like, okay, he got me 13 and a half. You get 7 points in your standard scoring league. You get 7. It's like, it did nothing for you. So you really got to go for upside at wide receiver, which you did. You got a stud tight end, which I think is also really important in standard scoring, because guys like Freiermuth, who might catch 5 passes for 50 yards and get you 10 in PPR, you're like, hey, I'll take that. And now you get 5 points, right? So you need these. So I think that's really important too. You got Rashad White as your flex. Again, normally I like flexing wide receivers, but in standard, I'm flexing running backs pretty much every time. So I'm going to say very, very good, very strong team.
A very strong team. I do think, even though I know you got Andrews, and of course you got 2 high-end running backs, I still kind of feel like this is what I'm saying. I think Dotson might still be getting a little overdrafted. I don't know if he should be a wide receiver 2 in a 10-team league. So I would prefer if I saw like him as a flex potential player or bench, but I don't know who else you have a wide receiver. You might have a really good bench receiver for all I know, but yeah, this team definitely should contend each and every week. You should have a good shot to win. Then we got some greetings from Austria.
Wow.
All right.
Wait.
4 days.
He says, greetings from Austria, you crazy people. Yet he's in Austria on a fantasy football live stream in America.
I'm trying to think what time it would be over there.
Yeah, what time is it there?
Late at night, 7, 8 hours. It's got to be like after midnight there.
Not only that, he's in Austria and he still has 2 auction drafts to go.
Let's go.
How are we the crazy people? I love auction drafts, by the way. But you got to be a little crazy to do auction drafts, because that's like 3 to 4 hours of your night drafting.
Try doing a baseball dynasty auction. That's half the day.
What's the one? What's the like? I never remember like sadistic and masochist. What's the one where you like to inflict pain on yourself? That's what that is. What that is.
That would be masochism. Yes, to the extreme, but I love it. All right, Stinger. What is up, Stinger?
What's up, Stinger?
All right, he wants his team graded. It's a 12-team PPR for redraft. Fields and Pickett, Pollard, White, Dillon, Bigsby, Lamb, Cup, Moore, Flowers, Collins, Myers, Goddard, and Schultz.
All right, well, off the bat, I'm going to say, why do you have Schultz and why do you have Pickett? I mean, okay, Schultz, you can almost talk me into Schultz because, look, it sometimes is okay to have a second decent tight end because if Goddard gets hurt, you don't really want to go run out to the waiver wire and grab whoever. But generally, I'm not going to do it. But I'm definitely not like Pickett. Again, I'm going to say the same thing I said to the guy who had Lamar and Purdy. If Fields goes down, Pickett's not the answer. Pickett's not keeping your team afloat. So I'm dropping Pickett for sure. But anyways, as far as your team goes, I mean, obviously you watch our videos, you're in the Discord, you're gonna probably have a lot of guys we like. It's gonna be hard to dislike this team. You got Pollard, White, Dylan, Bigsby. Obviously, we like those guys. You got Lamb and Cup. Well done. Well done. And you got DJ Moore, Flowers, Collins, and Myers. That's great. So overall, this is a very good team. I mean, even without Cup, you should be okay in the early parts here. But man, when Cup comes back healthy, this team could be a monster. Well done.
And I think if I remember last night, you said he was about to draft. I think this might be the team he just drafted last night. And so he probably got discount Cup. So maybe Lamb first. And so smart move. Yeah, you'll miss him for however long he's out. But yeah, this is a very solid team.
Yeah, well done.
Big B. How'd I do in a 10-team league? Got Hurts, Bijan, Gibbs, Hall, Hill, Allen, Freiermuth. Okay, so I'm guessing that's Tyreek Hill and Keenan Allen.
I think so. Yes.
Richardson, Taylor, Ashane, Kirk, Johnston, Tony, and then one of the Jay Williams.
So I'm gonna say what I always say: you don't need Anthony Richardson. Look, I like Anthony Richardson this year. He runs, but he's not going to be a Jalen Hurts replacement if Jalen Hurts gets hurt. He's just not. Look, your running backs, I mean, getting Breece Hall as your RB3, I like that because you can lean on, you can rely on Bijan and Gibbs most weeks. And if Hall down the stretch does get close to healthy and does pull away from Dalvin Cook, that's going to be huge for you. I think Hill, obviously Hill is great. I think Allen as your wide receiver too is fine. I think he'll be good. You still have, it looks like, I'm guessing that's Christian Kirk on your bench. I'm guessing Christian Kirk, who I like a lot. So if, you still have a good wide receiver 3 on your bench. You got JT on your bench? Is that what I'm seeing? Is that Taylor? That's Jonathan Taylor?
It must be.
Yeah. So when he comes back, I don't know if you can start all those guys when he comes back, but this should be a strong team when JT comes back, especially if Hall gets close to 100%. This should be a very strong team.
This team is stacked at running back for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
So I would just say if you can move Taylor to that IR and grab somebody else, drop Richardson, grab another receiver.
Yeah, definitely.
You don't need any more running backs. And if this is your starting lineup, if I'm looking at it the way I think I am, I'm benching Hall and I'm putting Kirk in instead at the flex because you already have 2 stud running backs. So I would do that. But yeah, you came away with a really good team. And I do think it's more important to get those running backs, the high-end running backs, in a shallower league because you're just going to have more competition. So Isaac with another one. Okay, so he's currently got Chig at tight end. Bought in on all the sleeper dark horse talk before league draft. Hey, look, I know they have D-Hop, but I'm not completely out on Chig. I'm not. I think he still has some value. But who should I take over him is what he's saying. Would you rather have Dulcich, Higbee, and Freiermuth? Is Freiermuth on the waiver wire?
You gotta pick up Freiermuth. Even if Freiermuth does struggle this week against the Niners, he's gonna be the guy you just start pretty much every single week. I might like Higbee a little more than him. Again, I'm gonna stress I might. I probably don't, but I might like Higbee a little bit more than him this week if Kupp is out. But most weeks I'm gonna vastly prefer Freiermuth over Higbee or Dulcich. Yes. Drop Chig and pick up Freiermuth right now. Definitely.
Yeah. Okay. So what I was just saying about Chig is I do still like him, but Freiermuth should not be on waivers. And even Higbee, I would like Higbee. So yeah, pick up Freiermuth. If for some reason someone else grabs him first or your waiver claim or your fab is enough, whatever, go Higbee. And then we have the sticker from Santo Barba Giovanni. And the comment here is a 12-man PPR QB. Herbert, RB 1 and 2, Gibbs and Cook. I'm not sure which Cook, but it's one of those. Wide receiver, we got Lamb and I'm guessing Amon-Ra St. Brown, or is that A.J. Brown?
I think
It could be either one.
Since it's AN, I'm gonna assume St. Brown, but they're both great, so whatever. They're both great.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Hawkinson, flexes Dotson, bench Bigsby, Moore, Judy, Johnson, Ashane, Kincaid, and Charbonnet. See, I love we do this so much you can decipher who these names are, even though like half, whatever. All right, so in a 12-man league, what do you think?
Yeah, this is a great team for 12 team. I mean, you got a stud QB. You got I'm gonna assume it's James Cook, not Dalvin. Please tell me it's James Cook, not Dalvin. So you got two, solid running backs. You got two stud receivers. I mean, Lamb, and whether it's St. Brown or AJ Brown, you shouldn't be able to get both those guys very often. So you got two stud receivers. Look, I don't think Hawkinson is going to live up to his ADP this year, but he's still going to be a set and forget every week tight end that you just roll right. He's still going to be that guy.
Right.
Dotson, an upside flex. I like most of your bench. Like when Judy comes back from that hamstring, if Russ isn't completely cooked, he can also be your flex some weeks. So for a 12-team league, I like this a lot. Like it a lot.
I do like it a lot. Like I said, I like seeing Dotson at the flex as opposed to the wide receiver 2 slot. I think Cook as your RB2 should be totally fine considering you have those two stud receivers. And yeah, I'm not crazy about taking Hawkinson so early, but he is going to be one of the top tight ends. So I think that's fine. I think this is a really, really solid lineup. And I like your upside on the bench too. So well done. And so just a reminder, guys, we've been going almost 2 hours. We're going to keep going until the comments, until we actually catch up. We'll just put it that way. If you did drop a super chat within the last, let's say 10 minutes, we're going to get to it. Don't worry. We have not forgotten about you. We didn't skip you. We're just still catching up. So we're getting there. I want to get to this question. I think this is very interesting. We love trade questions. And one of our weekly shows, which by the way, guys, we're going to be going live a lot this year, at least one of them dedicated just to trades, and you can ask your trade questions. Not a lot of trades going on before the season starts, but of course, with the Cooper Kupp news, I thought this was a really interesting one from Justin Kim. Would you trade Kupp and Brian Robinson for Josh Jacobs and George Pickens in half PPR? That's a tough one.
It is a tough one. I mean, it's half, but even a half PPR Kupp is great. So it's not like he is terrible in half PPR or something. I think it comes down to like, how do you feel about Josh Jacobs?
I mean, do you think it depends? Because we're looking at this in a vacuum, right? We don't know his roster and the setup. We don't even know actually how deep this league is, whatever. So we're just looking value for value. Does this depend on like his depth chart or anything? I mean, Jacobs obviously going to be a starter. We know that.
Yeah, Jacobs going to be a starter. And I'm guessing you're now going to, you're going to have a whole wide receiver that Pickens is going to plug. I mean, he's not going to be your wide receiver 1, I'm guessing, but I think I do this. I mean, I certainly have some worries about Jacobs this year, but I mean, again, he only signed a 1-year deal. So it's not like Josh Jacobs can go back to, missing games again because he's not getting paid next year again. And I like Brian Robinson, but I'm still taking Pickens over Brian Robinson. So I think I take the Jacobs Pickens side.
I think so too. I do too. And I like Brian Robinson. You'll know this. Yeah. I also like George Pickens. Just basically you have to think about, do you want that solid, secure RB1 in Josh Jacobs or the upside of Kupp, but also the potential of him missing games. So the safe thing to do would be to go with the Jacobs Pickens side, I think, but that's not why I'm doing it. I think I'm doing it because I just think that side is going to produce more over the long term. So yeah, I think I would take Jacobs Pickens too. Stinger, I love Stinger, did the research for us. It's 12:46 a.m. in Austria, almost 1 in the morning. And that leads to this. We also have greetings from Croatia.
Wow. All right.
Global, officially global. Hey, football might be an American sport, but fantasy football is worldwide. Love
That's
it.
right.
In Superflex, do you feel it's mandatory to pick at least 2 rounds?
I wouldn't say it's mandatory, but I would definitely like to. It comes down to like who's on the board. So if I'm picking towards the end of the first round and those first 7 guys are gone, and that's up to Trevor Lawrence, then I'll probably go, with a stud wide receiver or running back, depending who's there. But when it comes back to me in the second, I would like to get one of like Deshaun Watson, Dak Prescott, maybe Tua, because I did do a super flex draft yesterday and we had some teams that decided to wait on quarterback and they're starting like Jordan Love and Brock Purdy. I mean, okay, you're going to get points, but you're not going to get a lot of points probably. You know what I mean? I don't want to be that team. I don't want to. I'm okay I'm okay if I'm the team that like has Justin Fields and Jordan Love as my QB2, or like a stud QB and then Jordan Love is I'm okay with that. It's not ideal, but I'm okay with that. But I don't want like Jordan Love as my QB1 or Kenny Pickett as my QB1 because I waited. So
yeah, it's hard to say you have to do anything, but I don't want to come away and it's round 3 and then, like you said, the best quarterback available is like Daniel Jones and Jared Goff.
Yeah,
that advantage you think you have at wide receiver or maybe running back, it's going to be offset by the disadvantage you put yourself in at quarterback. So you almost have to look, if you pick any of the first 6, 7, probably 8 picks, you should go quarterback anyways. So it would only be if you pick late in the first round and you say, oh, well, look, Justin Jefferson's there. Grab Justin. Okay, fine. Grab Justin Jefferson. On the way back, you still want to get like a Deshaun Watson, a Dak Prescott type, because then if you wait again, yeah, you might regret it. So
yeah,
I hate to say it's mandatory, but you probably should get at least one, at least top 12 quarterback if you can.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the super chats again. Local John, 1812. That sounds like a beer or something. Local John, 1812, like a draft. 12-man standard scoring with PPR, Watson, Barkley, Pollard, Olave, Mike Williams, and Njoku, one of the cooks. Buffalo, Cowboys, Zerline. Wait, Buff?
Two
Cook Buffalo. I think maybe he's clarifying Cook,
okay.
like James Cook. Could put James Cook. Oh, well.
Okay.
Bench is Sky Moore, Pittman Jr., Beckham Jr. Don't confuse him with the seniors. Gerald Everett, Thielen, Warren, Justin Ross. Okay, starting rate. Standard scoring.
But he says standard scoring with PPR.
With PPR. Okay.
So I'm gonna assume.
All right, PPR. So PPR scoring then. I saw the big STD.
I mean, okay, you got 2 awesome running backs. You got 2 wide receivers I really like. You got a good tight end. You got James Cook, I guess, as your flex. Yeah, I'm not. That's definitely who I'm starting. That's the lineup I'm starting for sure. And I think, this is a good team. You got Michael Pittman on the bench. That's pretty good. Like whatever you think of Michael Pittman this year, on the bench, that's pretty good. You got Sky Moore, Beckham, okay, whatever. Everett, okay, whatever. So yeah, I'm probably leaving the lineup the way you have it. Like I don't think I can go Pittman over James Cook in the flex. I think I'd rather gamble on James Cook in that offense. Not loving Pittman this week. And it's definitely a solid. It's more than solid. It's very good. It's a very good team.
Would you gamble Sky Moore over Cook at the flex this week? That might tempt me.
I don't know. I don't know if I could do it. I if somebody wanted to do it, I'd be like, okay, go for it. I don't know if I'm that person though.
Well, it's a really good lineup for a 12-team league, standard or PPR. Either way, it's good. Assuming it's PPR, so yeah, I like it. I don't love every piece on the bench, but I think it's fine. Yeah. Everett, whatever, Thielen, whatever. If you don't keep those guys, whatever. But I think you're good, and I wouldn't switch up anything else. And then Ray Guillermo, 12-man league, got Fields, Garrett, Kirk, Eckler, Walker, Hawkinson, Mike Williams. On the bench, Charbonnet, McKinnon, Juju, Elliott. Is that Zeke Elliott? Mooney and Okonkwo. Okay, well, I see a move to make, but go ahead.
Yeah, we've seen Zeke a few times today. What's going on? Is that Garrett Wilson? Is that who that Garrett is?
I'm assuming Garrett Wilson and then Christian Kirk.
All right. I mean, that's pretty good. You got Eckler and Garrett Wilson. That's nice. Kirk is wide receiver 2, I think is – well, no, you got Mike Williams. He'd probably be my wide receiver 2, and then Kirk would probably be my flex, but whatever. You got Eckler and Walker. That's good. Again, Hawkinson, who knows? Maybe he fell in your draft, but I mean, he'll be solid. He'll be good. You got Charbonnet. I mean, there's no world where I'm drafting Juju and Zeke. There's no world where I'm drafting Juju or Zeke, to be honest with you. And look, with Hawkinson, do you really need Okonkwo? No, you don't. So I'm dropping him. I mean, if you want to hold Juju and Zeke, I guess that's fine. But I'm definitely dropping Okonkwo and picking up, like Ty Chandler, like guys we talked about. Maybe Deion Jackson's still out there. Probably not anymore, though. Guys like that. But overall, it's a solid team. Good team.
Starting lineup, I think, is really good. I mean, almost 9 out of 10. Honestly, I'd drop pretty much everybody on your bench except for Charbonnet, just to be honest.
I mean, you're even dropping even Darnell Mooney? You're not even going to hold Darnell Mooney?
Maybe Mooney. Depends who else is out there. You don't need Juju. You don't need McKinnon. You don't need – definitely drop Zeke and Okonkwo. So just grab some other guys. Christopher, maybe a different team. Who knows? Let's see. So I guess he really does have Bijan and Pollard on that team. In the first round, 2 QBs were taken. That's guys. I'm telling you, we mocked 3 times a week, every week throughout the entire summer. Never did we have anybody take a quarterback in the first round, but I guarantee in other leagues it will happen. In public leagues and home leagues and in just leagues, it will happen.
Yeah.
So anyways, so that's his bench. On the bench, Godwin, Pickens, Kirk, Flowers, Charbonnet, Warren. Like that's the type of bench I would love to have. That's
a ridiculous bench. How do you have Godwin, Pickens, and Christian Kirk on your bench?
Yeah. All right, appreciate this. Kanon, just subscribe. Kanon
Thank
2012. By the way, anyone who's just on now doesn't know what he's talking about. flockfantasy.com/endgame. You can subscribe, get a membership there. So let's see. Traded Chase and Rashawn, Akers, and some future picks, including a first. It's a super flex league. What do you think about that?
You traded Jamar Chase?
It sounds like it. Got London. Got Akers.
Okay, you got London.
Future first.
You got Akers, and you got a future second and a really future first.
I don't know.
I don't know if that's enough for me for Chase, to be honest. And look, I like London. I think Akers is fine. He's still young. But man, you're giving up like a top 2. Okay, maybe in Superflex, he's like a top 7 dynasty asset in Superflex. I don't know if that was enough for me. Like I would need, like maybe if that 2026 first was a 2024 first.
Exactly. Maybe. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I mean, usually a guy like Chase will fetch multiple firsts.
Yes.
It's like you got London, right? Now, if you look ranking wise, I don't remember exactly, but like my dynasty wide receiver rankings, I don't have London that far below Chase, but that doesn't mean there's not a significant gap in value. You know what I mean? So yeah, you probably could have got a little bit more, or maybe had that first round or sooner. A first round pick next year is definitely more valuable than that 26 first. But, it's not going to ruin your team or anything. I think you still have some good value. I'm wondering, are you rebuilding? Is why you're going younger at receiver and looking for future firsts?
But, okay, London's younger, but we're talking about, what, a 24-year-old absolutely elite wide receiver versus a 22-year-old wide receiver? Like, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, you went younger, but it doesn't really matter in this case. Yeah.
In London, could be really good for years to come, but is he really ever going to have Jamar Chase upside? That's the question.
Well, not unless they get like a real, not unless they drafted Joe Burrow, like unless they're able to draft like Caleb Williams this year or something. That like,
right.
That's the thing. We know Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow are going to be connected at the hip probably for a long time. So, yeah.
Right. Yeah. All right. Move on to the super chat. Rick Horn with another one. Thank you. Appreciate it a lot. 12-team half PPR. Now we're starting 3 receivers and 2 flexes.
Okay. I don't want to see a lot of running backs.
Well, let's see what we have. We have Herbert. Okay. Ty Hill, Ayuk, Deontay Johnson, Stevenson, and Gibbs. That's solid. Waller, Gibson, and Pirine. On the bench, we got Quentin Johnson, Danny Dimes, Jalen Warren, Van Jefferson, Kareem Hunt, Evan Hall, and Deuce Vaughn. That's kind of a lot of running backs.
Deuce Vaughn. Yeah, that's a lot of running backs. See, this is why in this format, PPR or half PPR, 3 wide receiver, 2 flexes, I am either going hero RB or 0 RB. Like I just would not have Stevenson and Gibbs. I would have maybe Stevenson or Gibbs, but I would not have both. Because now you're flexing Antonio Gibson and Samaje Perine. And those are like, look, I like Gibson. I think he could be good this week. But those are not what the guys you want to be flexing. Like, so I don't know, I don't know who was picked when you took Gibbs, but let's say you had gone another wide receiver there. I mean, let's say you had gotten like a Christian Kirk. Let's just say they kind of go in that same. I think Christian Kirk goes a little bit later than Gibbs. But let's say you went with Christian Kirk. Now you're going Tyreek Hill, Brandon Ayuk, Christian Kirk, Stevenson, Gibson is your RB2, and Christian Kirk is your flex. And yeah, you still stuck with Pirine as your flex. I mean, I would have tried to get guys like Addison, Flowers, whatever, Dotson, those guys. But anyways, my point being, doesn't that sound a lot better? Like, you know what I mean? Instead of having to flex Gibson and Pirine every week, Gibson's your RB2 potentially, and you got, Kirk in your flex. And hopefully you would have got other guys. So I would have just, in this format, just, for future, I know it's too late now, but in this format next year, if you play in this league again, consider going 0 RB or just hero RB, because it's really important in a 3 wide receiver, 2 flex league, any kind of PPR. You really want to flex 2 high upside wide receivers every single week if you can. That's what's going to give you the advantage over your league. So hopefully Quentin Johnson comes through for you at some point. Maybe Van Jefferson steps up with Cup out and becomes like a clear wide receiver too. But I think you're probably going to struggle in the flex for most of the year here.
Yeah, and this is half PPR, but it's not non-PPR. So You still prefer a receiver. I know you have pass catching running backs in your flex. But yeah, I think even with 2 flexes, again, liked Pirine, but I don't want to have to start him. Not right now. No. And I know you can drop Danny Dimes, drop Kareem Hunt, pick up some receivers.
Yes, get some receivers.
But you got a really solid core. I mean, look, this is not a bad team by any means. And if Darren Waller's, as good as everyone thinks he's going to be this year, you could be fine. But yeah. All right. We have somebody who's just panicked, wanting to know about JSN. Thomas has been saying this for quite a while, that JSN was out week 1. I don't think we said that. Maybe somebody said that. We did not declare anybody out. Nobody has been officially ruled out for week 1, as far as we know.
Yeah, I never said JSN was out. In fact, I think it was one of the drafts. We were talking. I think it was one where it was just me and the guys were asking me about JSN. We were asking me about like JSN, Judy. I said JSN was the one I feel the best about because it's a wrist. Like, it's not going to affect his route running. It might affect him, like if he gets pressed and like, okay, maybe he can't push out his wrist. It doesn't seem to be affecting his catching from the videos I see. So definitely was not us that said JSN was out week 1.
Yeah.
So I don't know where you heard that, but it wasn't us. Definitely wasn't us.
I mean, he might be out, but as of right now, nobody, even Cooper Kupp, like we don't think he's going to play. And it sounds like he's not going to play, but nothing has been officially declared yet.
The only guy who's officially out is Jonathan Taylor.
Yes, he's definitely out. Guarantee he's not going to play.
Guarantee you he is out. And
All right,
Kyler Murray.
now we have a question from a stranger in a strange land.
All right.
I wasn't kidding. Pat Mahomes and then Murray. Wow, okay. Brees Hall, JT, Kamara, Charbonnet, Algier, Spears, and Hunt and Ty Chandler. I'm gonna give you a second to digest that running back room for a minute before we go on to the rest. Look at the running backs there. Okay, then wide receiver, we got Cup, Evans, Elijah Moore, Mims, Jamison Williams, Calvin Austin at tight end. We got Kelsey and Irv Smith. What are your thoughts?
Oh, is this weekly winners in best ball? Is that what that is? Weekly best ball?
It does say BB. That
Because
changes
I would
things
like this team.
a lot.
I would like this team a lot more if this was weekly winners best ball.
Yeah.
Because you're looking at your running backs, Brees Hall coming back from ACL, JT on PUP for at least 4 weeks, Kamara suspended for at least 3 weeks, Charbonnet stuck behind Walker for at least a while, Algier stuck behind Bijan for the whole season, Spears stuck behind Derrick Henry for however long Derrick Henry lasts, which might be the whole season, Hunt stuck on his couch, Ty Chandler currently stuck behind Alexander Madison, and then even your wide receivers Cup with the hamstring. But if this is weekly best ball winners, then this is not so bad because when Kamara comes back from suspension, hopefully JT comes back at some point on some team. If Brees Hall gets close to 100%, if Cup gets back to 100%, I would definitely would have preferred more wide receivers because weekly winners is still a 3 wide receiver league, right? Like they didn't change that. It's still a 3 wide receiver league.
Right.
So I'd like to have better wide receivers, even though it is half PPR best ball, because it is a 3 wide receiver league and a flex. So you want 3, you want to have like, when you want every week, you want 3 good wide receivers in your lineup. So I'd like a little bit better wide receivers, but certainly if it's weekly winners best ball, then this team isn't as concerning as like if this is redraft and you're rolling into week 1 with Zach Charbonnet and Brees Hall as your running backs and Mike Evans and Elijah Moore as your wide receivers.
Yeah. Look, I get it. It's a very different strategy when you're drafting for best ball. This team, first of all, is relying on the Mahomes Kelsey stack to kind of keep it afloat every week, right? Okay, fine. But I think you went a little too all in on like the second half end of the year thing, like JT and Kamara, who's suspended, and Kareem Hunt getting signed, and Jamison Williams. Like you got every guy that's not playing, basically. Like there's comes a point where like, oh, I got value. It's like you need some guys who are actually playing. Like don't collecting all the guys who look like great, lottery tickets. They don't all pay off. So that's what I'm saying. You just went a little too all in on that. You're going to be hurting, I think, with your weekly floor. I mean, maybe week 15, 16, 17. Oh, Brees Hall and Jonathan Taylor and Alvin Kamara, they're all stud running backs. But maybe not. I'm just saying. So, and Kyler Murray. It's like it was too much. Like too much. We went a little too far with the whole, playing for the end of the season thing. That's all I'm saying. You get maybe 1 or 2 guys like that, but not half your team. Javon. Hope all is well. It is well. We're talking football. All right, rate my lineup. Full PPR, 4-point passing TD. Got Fields. Got a lot of Fields teams today. Barkley, Bijan, Amari, Hopkins, Hawk, and Rashad White.
I mean, I can't really complain too much about this team. I think the one guy I would complain about is maybe Hopkins is your wide receiver too, but I mean, even he feels okay. Like you got a solid tight end. You got great running backs, Barkley and Bijan. You got Cooper. You got Fields. I guess Rashad White's your flex. It's a very solid lineup. I can't really complain about it.
Yeah, I mean, don't know the format or whatever, but yeah, would like to have this lineup. I think is really solid. You got 2 really good running backs, so you're good. You're very good. Let's see. Now we're getting flooded with the super chats. So guys, we're still catching up. I promise. If you did super chat in the last 15 minutes, we're getting there. All right, TB, 12 team, half PPR. Herbert, Madison, Connor, Diggs, St. Brown, Andrews, Kirk at the flex. And then got Judy, Gabe Davis, probably Brian Robinson, Charbonnet, and Musgrave. What do you think?
All right, well, got the stud QB. Let's go to wide receivers first. You got Diggs and St. Brown. That's great. You got an elite tight end in Andrews. You got Christian Kirk. Jerry Jeudy, Gabe Davis, I think, are fine on the bench. Obviously, running back is the issue here. Madison, Connor, Brian Robinson, Charbonnet. Could be a little rough at the running back position. So, yeah. But I think your wide receivers, I mean, you're stacked pretty much everywhere else, right? I mean, you're stacked at wide receiver. You got the elite tight end. You got the elite QB. It's just the RBs. So, yeah, you're probably gonna have to really work because you're not gonna have an RB1. Like none of these guys are gonna be an RB1, no matter what. Like there's no path really for these guys being RB1s, probably. So, I don't know. You have to really work the waiver wire at running back and just hope your wide receivers, tight end, and QB carry you all year.
You know what I'll say? I mean, this looks obviously like a 0 RB team because you went Diggs, St. Brown, Andrews, then probably Kirk. Don't know where you got Herbert. So you probably waited till like round 6 to get your running back. So I actually think this is a really good 0 RB build because out of the running backs you got, you have 2 guys who are actually bell cows possibly in the beginning of the season with Connor and Madison. They're not the most exciting, but you get volume. So you're pretty good there with floor. And Brian Robinson, I like him. And Charbonnet, great upside. So I actually think this is a really good team. I love the build as far as the way you did it. I don't think you need Musgrave if you have Andrews, so you can maybe grab another receiver there. But yeah, I actually like this team a lot. And then Justin O'Grady, here is the question. This is a 14-team league. Got Dak, Stevenson, Herbert, guessing Khalil, Chase, Ridley, Addison, Pitts, Bills, Bass, and on the bench, we got some KC receivers. Deuces, not Deuce Staley. I'm trying to guess who Deuces is. Men's. Is that Josh Kelly? Possibly Josh Kelly. And then one of the Jay Williams and Dulcich.
I mean, for a 14 team, I think it's a really strong team. You got a good QB. You got a what I think will be a stud running back. Your wires, I mean, Chase and Ridley, that's great, especially in a 14-teamer. You got Addison. You got a potentially stud tight end if Kyle Pitts finally breaks out this year. So I think for a 14-team league, this is very good. Very well done.
Yeah, I'd say it looks like you definitely did some smart drafting with where you got these guys. You still got a really good kind of anchor RB. You got a high-end tight end. Dak is a smart pick there. So good. I think this is a pretty good team. You took some swings on your bench there. I mean, some guys that not sure if you're going to need to keep, but yeah, 14 teams can be tricky. If you make one wrong move and all of a sudden your roster goes south. So I think you did a good job. Christopher wants to know now, do you think Dotson and White could be league winners?
Well, I'll start with Dotson, and I'm going to say no. I think the best case for Dotson this year would be like Devonta Smith last year, which I guess maybe he kind of was a league winner because of where he was drafted. But I don't really see it with Dotson.
Yeah.
White, I think, could be. I'm not sitting here proclaiming White a league winner right now. Like, don't screen capture this. If Young Money's here, don't be screen capturing this. But here's why I say White could be. If you listen to some of my recent videos where I talk about him, talk about Jacob Gibbs from Sportsline and CBS. Since 2000, so we're going way back here. We got a lot. This is a big sample size. Running backs who have had at least 85 targets, not catches, targets, finishes a top 12 PPR back 88% of the time. If Rachaad White gets, like, let's say Rachaad White gets 100 targets this year and finishes as RB10, he's going to be a league winner based on where he was drafted, because you're drafting him in like round 6 usually, right? And he's going to give you a top 10 running back season. He will be a league winner. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but the potential is there for him. So I'm going to say White could be Dotson feels like more of a stretch to me, even though I really do like Dotson, but he feels like more of a stretch to me.
Yeah, again, I'm not sure what it is, if it's the preseason highlights or the McLaurin injury or both or whatever, but I feel like Dotson all of a sudden is just getting way too much helium. And I liked him a lot, but now I'm gonna have to back off. I can't draft him in like the 4th round or anything. So I feel like people getting a little carried away with Dotson lately. I like him a lot, but not as a league winner. Rob Cosentino, 12-man team PPR, got Herbert, Bijan, Pollard, Watson, London, Hawk, Gibbs. That's a nice running back room. And Dallas. Rob this draft silly. Dotson on the bench. And then Quentin Johnson. Yeah, I think you did.
Yeah, I mean, Bijan Pollard's a great start. I mean, your wide receivers, I like your wide receivers with Watson and London, but I wouldn't say you robbed your draft getting Watson and London. Like if you had still somehow gotten like CeeDee Lamb, we robbed him. But it's certainly a very good team. This is a very good team. You should definitely have a strong case for winning the championship for sure.
Oh yeah. And by the way, just going back to it, that stranger in the strange land, he clarified he was talking about a weekly winners team. So okay. I get it. It makes sense. But again, too much with the hurt suspended guys. Just too much. Jason saying his draft is tonight. Ooh, okay. Top 5 players to avoid. We haven't done as many of the bust landmine type videos, but we have done some. So who would you say top 5, or at least a couple?
I mean, are we going to go obvious avoids, or are we going to get spicy avoids here? What do we want to do? I mean,
how about one of each?
Okay, I mean, obvious avoids. Kamara, Zeke, Thielen. I'm just not drafting. I mean, we see all these teams. I'm just not drafting those guys. Like, I don't think you're going to get to the end of the season and be like, man, I'm so glad I drafted Thielen this year. Whoo, did he really help me win a championship? Like, this is not like, I'd rather gamble on like some rookie wide receiver who maybe will also do nothing, but could potentially like be a second half breakout. So those are like some of the obvious ones off the top of my head. Spicy avoid, I'm going to say DeAndre Hopkins. Spicy avoid for me. In the sense that I think people are still valuing him as like a high-end wide receiver. They're still drafting him in like round 4, round 5. And I just don't think he's going to be, I mean, there's a lot of red flags here for DeAndre Hopkins. We're talking about a 31-year-old wide receiver in a brand new team with not a good quarterback that doesn't throw the ball a lot. I mean, there are a lot of like, we could really be looking back at DeAndre Hopkins being like, oh man, what were people thinking? Like he was horrible this year. Like I really think he could be horrible this year. So I'm going to say spicy. My spicy one is D-Hop, not touching D-Hop.
It has been said Tennessee is where wide receivers go to die. I mean, Julio Jones, not too long ago, was in Tennessee. Andre Johnson, for some reason, played his last season in Tennessee. It's not good. Randy Moss, I forgot that even happened. Yeah. Randy Moss was in Tennessee. So, yeah, I'm not proclaiming him dead yet, but I think he's been drafted a little too aggressively. So on that note, I'll say I'm not really touching Mike Evans. It's just too much. And if he gets traded to the Giants, then I'm even less in on him because I don't want any part of that passing game. And Daniel Jones, how's that an upgrade? So, yeah, that's I guess. I don't know if that's spicy. Who else am I avoiding?
I'm pretty much avoiding. I would say I'm pretty much avoiding Breece Hall only because, like, I think there's a point where I would. There's a point where I would draft Breece Hall, but he never gets to that point.
Yeah, I'm not drafting Breece Hall either, and also I kind of just really don't want part of the Arizona offense because I think those guys, even if they don't wind up getting traded, it's just going to be like a huge, massive, roaring dumpster fire. So, just kind of worried about Arizona. George, thank you, George. And how are you doing? George wants to know about his 10-team PPR league. There's the format. You can see that needs 2 flex, only 2 receivers. So we got Lawrence, Ramondre, and Gibbs, Chase, and Olave. At flex, he's got Ridley and Dotson. Again, this is a 10-team league. Goddard, Dallas, and Bass. And then the bench got some upside there. I mean, for a 10-teamer, I think this is really good.
Very good team, and I keep it exactly how you have it this week. Look at that bench. Like,
I know
you got guys on the bench. A lot of people are starting. So, very good team, and I keep it just how you have it. Yeah, well done.
No changes there. No advice to give. I mean, I love the upside you have there everywhere. So I think you killed it. Yeah. No reaches, no guys that don't belong on a roster in a 10-team league. So very good. All right, then Benny Black, he had a super chat. Here's the question: 10-man or 12-man PPR: Hurts, Eckler, James Cook, Amari Cooper, Christian Watson, Andrews, Dotson, Commanders, and then some players in the bench. What do you think for a 12-man league?
I mean, obviously you started Eckler. Trying to figure out who you got in round. Did you get Cooper in round 2? I feel like you should have a based on, because I don't see like a clear did you go Jalen Hurts in round 2? Like I would expect either a better RB2 if you went like RB, or I would expect a better wide receiver 1 if you went wide receiver in the second round. I like Cooper, I like Watson. Obviously, Andrews is great. You got Hurts. I like that, but I just feel like trying to figure out what you did in round 2.
You think
To
Hurts
where
was a
your wide
round
receiver
2
1
pick?
is Cooper.
I wonder if
Yeah,
Hurts was the second round pick and then Andrews was the third round pick, something like that.
that's what I'm wondering. So I would have preferred, if that's the case, I would have preferred you go with like a stud wide receiver in round 2 or running back if that's your thing, and then you probably still could have gotten like Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, somebody like that in the third round if you really wanted QB. So, I mean, overall, I like it. Like Eckler, James Cook, Amari Cooper, Christian Watson, Andrews, Jahan Dotson, Hurts. Overall, I like it. I just feel like there should be a better wide receiver 1 on this team.
And this is one thing we talked about a lot, and we saw it in action when we did our mocks all off season. You can go early QB, get one of those elite guys. You can go early tight end, of which there's basically 2 guys. But if you do both, you go QB and tight end early, and then let's say you took a running back in round 1, your wide receiver room isn't going to be as impressive. And really, it's just better to have an elite wide receiver to carry your team. And look, we both like Amari Cooper, like Christian Watson.
Yep.
But again, I think just having that stud receiver might pay off a little bit more. So that's what happens when you get both guys like both Hurts and Andrews. So, but this is still a good team. I mean, got no problem with it. I think it's very competitive. Stranger, yes, underdog weekly winners. Look, this is a good time to mention this. Looking to win second half. I get it, but you have to also be able to get to the second half. You have to win in the first half too. And also as like Team 71. Look, I'm just saying this is a good time for me to mention. I did enter a couple of the weekly winners. I'm gonna try to do a couple more. If you guys don't know what it is, if you haven't tried Underdog, do try Underdog. If you do join Underdog, make sure you use code ENDGAME. It's really easy. You can pick up and draft right now a best ball team, which means you get to draft again, and then you don't have to worry about setting lineups or doing waivers or trades. You just draft a team and try to win money. So I highly recommend it. It's just fun. If you like drafting, just keep on drafting, and you get a chance to win real money. Done it myself. So if you go to weekly winners, it's different because it keeps you in the game all week, every week. Because some of those tournaments you have to wait till kind of like playoff time, and some of those other leagues you wait till the season's over. With weekly winners, every week you get to see where you rank and advance. It's really kind of a fun twist on things. Only $15 to get in there. So I'm gonna do a couple more before the season gets underway. Best Ball Mania 4. Also, if you kind of want a chance to win millions of dollars, that's good incentive too. And then we will be talking about our picks, our pick'ems. Right now, Pat Mahomes over half a yard. There's a gimme for you, and you can combine it with anything else. And they don't just have football, by the way. They have baseball picks. They have when it's basketball season. I think they also do golf, I believe.
Golf, everything.
So
yeah, and the nice thing about the Mahomes here is like you just really need to pick one other line that you like, and if that line hits, you triple your money. Like that's all you got to do. It's like you're getting 3-1 odds, and you just got to be right one time. And look, I'll say another thing. Underdog does this all the time throughout the season. So even if you're like, well, I don't know if I want to, I don't know if I want to do this all the time, you can just put some money in there And then when they do this, pick one line you like, triple your money, and just do that a few times if you want. So, yeah, easy peasy.
Yep. Just put in $10 at least, 15, $20, whatever it is. Put in $10, bet that $10 on one pick. Just get one thing right. Combine it with Pat Mahomes, and then you just tripled your money, and then you take it from there. But anyways, yeah, I'm gonna get in some maybe a weekly winners tonight. We'll see what it is. All right, let's get back to the chats. We still have some more to catch up on, and let's start with, let's go back to Chris again. Christopher Laborde.
Thank you,
Different
Chris.
team. Man, I thought I was a fiend. He's got, I don't know how many teams. Full PPR. So here we go. 2 running back, 3 receiver, a tight end, and a flex. Hurts, Pollard, White, Wilson, Higgins, Moore, Goddard, Dotson, Ravens, Koo, and then got some nice bench.
Wow, Pickens on the bench.
I like that bench a lot. Except
Pickens, Swift, Brian Robinson, Nico, Charbonnet, Daniel Jones. There's always got to be one. There's always got to be one. You're looking at it, you're like, this is it. This is and then you see Daniel Jones. And then you see Daniel Jones and Jameson Williams. You're like, oh man. No, this is a great team. I mean, for a 3 wide receiver, 1 flex, you getting Tony Pollard as your hero RB, getting Garrett Wilson, Higgins. I'm assuming that's DJ Moore. You got Rachaad White as your RB2. You got Dotson as your flex. You got Pickens that's chilling on your bench in case you need him. Swift, maybe he'll bust out. Brian Riley, great team. Great team.
And I was just going to say, I love that bench. And there's Daniel Jones, but that's okay. You can just drop and pick up somebody else. But yeah, this is actually a really good lineup. I like this team. It doesn't say, right? It doesn't say if it's 12 man or what it is, but
really good team.
If it's a 12-man league, this is a great team.
Yeah.
Okay, Ryan's saying we might have skipped this one. I don't remember, but let's do it. 12-man PPR. Got Lawrence, Bijan, Pollard, Amon-Ra and Olave, Higbee, Drake L, Cam Akers.
How?
You're shaking your head.
Okay, this is what I'm saying. Like, how do you get Bijan Robinson, Tony Pollard, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Chris Olave on the same team? Like, obviously Bijan Robinson, I'm assuming, was the first round. Did you get Amon-Ra in the second and Pollard in the third? Did you get Pollard in the second, Amon-Ra in the third, and then you got Chris Olave in the fourth? Like, what? Crazy. Obviously, look, you punted tight end, but I don't even care because you got Drake London, Cam Akers. Even though you already have, like, Cam Akers is your RB3, Drake London is your wide receiver 3, James Cook on your bench, Elijah Moore on your bench, Addison on your bench. Yeah, great team. Fantastic team.
Yeah, for a 12-man, great. Elijah Moore, Jordan Addison, James Cook. Love seeing guys like that on the bench. Huge upside. And I know it's probably got to make you smile a little bit to see that he didn't even mention kicker and defense. He said, I'm just streaming. Just streaming.
Perfect. Exactly. There you go. That's how you do it. You stream. You just stream.
All right. Now I rewind a minute here. He did clarify it is a 10-man league. Okay, but still, 10-man
still
league.
Really good.
It's still
really good.
Yeah.
Still really good.
I mean, obviously, it would have been more impressive if it was 12, but yeah, this team could definitely take the ship in a 10-team league. The recovery, 716, feeling good. All right, let's see. 10 teams to see if he should be feeling good. Another, I feel like we've seen this a lot, the Bijan Pollard duo.
I know. Which is crazy because, well, like Bijan, Pollard, Gibbs, and you still got Olave, Devonta Smith. Because like Bijan, Pollard, and Smith should all go in the first 2 rounds. Olave, I know sometimes goes in the third.
Should,
but doesn't, obviously. Gibbs usually goes in the third. So we're talking about, 5 guys that should all be going in the 3rd round or sooner, and you got 5 of them, so that's great. And you got Fields, who usually also, 10 team, okay, maybe 10 team, he goes in the 6th round. You got Freiermuth. Of course, got it, if you got a stud QB, you got to get Jordan Love. You got to get that backup QB. That's just why is this a thing? Why does everybody get a backup QB when they have a stud? Like, Jordan Love, really? Jordan Love? Like, are you worried that if you drop Jordan Love when Justin Fields has a bye, Jordan Love isn't going to be there for you to pick up to put in during the bye? Like, Jordan Love. Anyways, great team, though. Even beyond that, it's a great team. You should definitely, have a great chance. Yeah, you should be feeling good about the squad, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, 3 stud running backs. Would love to have those receivers. So yeah, I'm feeling. I think you should be feeling good. Let's put it that way. Feeling good, you should be. I don't think there's anything you need to do differently here. Gabriel won it last year. Let's see if we can do it again this year. Has 3 keepers. Got Mahomes, JG, and Olave.
Nice.
Good. All right, good start. Pick 12. Got Walker, Sanders, James Cook, Monty, Warren, Spears, Sutton, Nico. Thoughts? He says not into Sanders.
Well, I mean, okay, 3 keepers, so you pick 12, so I'm guessing it's a 12-man. So I guess the first 3 rounds are gone.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I guess I can see why. I guess it makes sense to go Walker, Sanders, Cook, Monty, because you figure you got JJ and Olave, but I still would have liked, like, there had to be some wide receivers that you could have drafted before Cortland Sutton and Nico Collins. Because, like, I would like some depth behind JJ and Olave. Like, look, love JJ and I love Olave, so I certainly hope this doesn't happen. What do you like? Look, like last year, like, what if Olave gets concussed? You're really going to roll with Cortland Sutton or Nico Collins? I mean, you can. You're not going to feel great about it, but you can. Like, I would have liked some other wide receivers in here, especially once you get Walker, Sanders, James Cook. Like Addison wasn't available, Flowers, Dotson, guys like that, something, even Pickens, guys like that, like whatever. Strong up top. I mean, Mahomes, JJ, Olave, Walker, Sanders, that's strong. Depth, especially at wide receiver, could certainly be an issue.
Well, he's saying he's not into Sanders. So does he go out and start fielding offers to get wide receiver
not?
3 type?
Yeah, why not? I would. I mean, yeah,
I mean,
I would.
You can replace him with Cook and Monty, right? It's pretty comparable.
Yeah, I think Sanders will be better than those guys. But yeah, I mean, you can roll with one of those guys as your RB2 and get yourself some wide receiver depth. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, there you go. If you're not into Sanders, you took him and you thought that was the best value, that's fine. Yeah, go ahead and try to get some wide receiver depth, get a more of a true wide receiver 3. Maybe Sutton is that guy, but maybe don't take that chance.
Yeah.
And you got enough depth. You went running back, running back, running back, running back, running back. So you're fine as far as depth there.
Hammered running back.
Yeah. Humberto, thank you for the super chat again. Got Pickett, Barkley, Stevenson, Herbert Dillon, Adams, St. Brown, Mike Williams, Sutton Lazard, Moore, one of the Moores, and then Andrews for a 14-team league. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say, like, man, Pickett was your best option, but maybe in a 14-team league, look, maybe we've seen almost every team we've seen today is like they have 2 quarterbacks. It's like, I know I have Josh Allen, but I better also draft, Aaron Rodgers or whatever. But man, Barkley, Stevenson with Adams, St. Brown. How do you get Adams and St. Brown and Barkley and Stevenson in a 14-teamer? Like, you shouldn't even be able to get those 4 guys in a 12-teamer. And you got Mike Williams. You got Mark Andrews. Like, yeah, I don't even care that you have Pickett. Like, look, I will say I don't like Pickett at all this week because, again, they're playing the 49ers. I might even go Sam Howell over Pickett this week if he's still out there, just because they get the Cardinals and he'll run. Like, he'll get some rushing yards. He might even run it in for a touchdown. I just really don't like Pickett this week. So, I don't know. I might be looking to grab a different QB, but the rest of your team is awesome for a 14-teamer. Just great.
This might be the one exception where I say maybe you do get a backup second quarterback here, right? It's like, I mean, look, there are probably not that many options because it is a 14-team league and everyone else has 1, if not 2 quarterbacks. Maybe drop Lazard and get another quarterback, like you said, like a Howell or somebody has upside. So you can flip-flop between those 2 because you won't be able to stream quarterback quite so easily in this kind of league. But overall, you came out really, really and Andrews at tight end. Like,
I know.
I think he robbed this draft. Yeah.
Yeah, you did rob this draft.
Roberto, what is up, Roberto?
What's up, Roberto?
Another spicy question. He's combining Jonathan Taylor and Cooper Kupp into one. All right, so JT and Kupp or St. Brown and Rashad White?
Oh man.
And the here and the now or the what could be?
Imagine like a month ago, we would have laughed at this. Be like, you can't trade Cup and JT for St. Brown or Rashad White. You're crazy. We're like, what are you doing? Like that's too spicy, Roberto. But here we are. Like I'm totally fine Cup for St. Brown. I'm totally okay with that. Am I okay JT and Rashad White? That's where it's coming down to. That's what it's coming down to for me.
I mean,
I
feel
Rashad
like
White probably being drafted ahead of JT right now. I mean, almost certainly, right?
well, apparently in most leagues he is. I mean, yeah, it's tempting, but I don't know. To me, I feel like I want a little bit more.
Yeah, I think because let's say it's week 6, and let's say Rashad White's playing well, right? Let's say he's like a high end RB2 every week, or whatever. Like he's playing well, and JT is back, and he's like, "Hey, look, you know what? It is what it is. I have to play for the Colts. I'm going to play hard. I'm playing for a contract. I'm going to go out there and give it my best," and he's fully healthy. Like you're going to want JT over Rashad White, right?
Yes.
Yes. So I think I still keep JT and Cup.
Yeah. This is tough. It is close. I get it. Something looking at. I know it's very tempting if you have a team where you have both those guys and they're sitting there and you can't play them in week 1. It's like, man. But I think if I could get a running back a little bit better than Rashad White, then I might do it. And I know we just finished saying, you just said Rashad White could be a league winner, but
could be.
And JT could be still a top 5 running back. That's
yes.
So. And then Humberto saying Pickett was his last pick. So he waited to the very end to get a quarterback. He has Murray on IR. That doesn't impress me. I don't think Murray's going to play this year. Sam Howell is out.
They made him a captain.
Yeah. Okay. So Sam Howell, you agree? You should go out and pick up Sam Howell?
Yes. I look, in a 14-team league where you punted QB, I like getting Murray and putting him on IR. I think he will play. I think he's going to play.
Well, yeah. I mean, if he's just taking up an IR spot, whatever, it doesn't hurt you.
Yeah. But yes, I would drop Lazard to pick up Howell.
And play Howell this week?
Yes.
Happy. Rate my team. 10-team PPR, 3 receivers, 1 flex. It's an auction draft. All right. So we got Watson, Sanders, Connor, Hill, Olave, Smith, and Njoku, Moore, Addison, Herbert, Madison, and Dotson.
This is an auction draft. So one of the good, I did say like auction drafts, you got to be a little bit crazy because they take forever. But one of the nice things about auction drafts is you don't really have to worry about getting sniped. Because it just comes down to like, okay, that's too much money for that guy. I'm not going to take him, right? You don't have to worry about like, okay, I'm either going to go this guy or this guy. And then the 2 guys in front of you each take those guys. And now you're like, oh, great. Now what am I doing? So let's see what you did here. You went Deshaun Watson, I guess. Sanders, Connor. So, okay, we're going kind of a 0 RB auction build. You got Tyreek, Olave, Devonta Smith. That's fantastic. You got DJ Moore, Addison, fantastic, and Njoku. And you still got Herbert, Madison. And you got Dotson. Yeah, it's a 10-teamer. So, I think your wide receivers are good enough since you don't have like a true RB1. I think your wide receivers are good enough. It is a 3 wide receiver league. So it's going to put a premium on wide receiver, even a 10-teamer. So I like this team. I think you did well. I think it's definitely a strong contender.
I think it's very good. You just those 3 receivers alone. And look, DJ Moore is the 4th receiver in the flex. Yeah. That's great. I mean, you're putting a lot on the Watson and Njoku stack, which we talked up a lot, right? This preseason, getting Watson late at quarterback and Njoku at tight end. So I think that's smart. You running backs, you mix and match. This is kind of what I said with that other one, that 0 RB build. You got guys at running back that you waited on, or I mean, I know it was an auction, but whatever. You bid low or late. You got guys who are all workhorses in Sanders, Connor,
Yep.
and Madison. So very, very smart build. So I like this team a lot. Christopher with another one. 12-man team, full PPR. This is definitely a different team. No Pollard here. So you got Hurts, Dobbins, Robinson. Is that Bijan Robinson or Brian Robinson? Maybe Brian Robinson. Tyreek Hill, Garrett Wilson, and Njoku, Kirk. And on the bench, Hall, Judy, Charbonnet, Moore, Bills, Kincaid, and JSN.
I mean, if that's Bijan Robinson, if you got Bijan Robinson, Tyreek Hill, and Garrett Wilson, I'm just gonna quit. Like that would be too much. That'd be like, come on, 3 first rounders. I'm gonna assume it's Brian Robinson.
Probably.
So you got Tyreek Hill, Garrett Wilson, Christian Kirk with Njoku. That's fantastic. Love that. You got Hurts. So I'm guessing Hall was probably the first RB you drafted. That's my guess. But you got Dobbins, Brian Robinson. They should get you by until Breece Hall can maybe get close to 100%, maybe pull away from Dalvin Cook. But I like your bench. I mean, Judy, Charbonnet, Elijah Moore on your bench. Very good. And you got JSN on your bench. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Man, you got Tyreek Hill, Garrett Wilson, Christian Kirk, Judy, Elijah Moore, and JSN. Man, when Judy's coming back, when they're like, okay, he's going to play this week, I might be looking to trade Judy because people are going to be, especially if Russ looks halfway decent, right? If Russ looks halfway, people are like, oh, he's back, he's saved. I might be looking because do you really you really need Judy? Like I would like a little bit better RB upgrade, so I might try to move Judy for a running back when he's coming back from hamstring, if he still has hype by then.
Yeah, there's value there. Yeah, I mean, I don't love the Hall pick, and I really wasn't on Judy even before the injury, but your starting lineup is still pretty good. I think, again, with the receivers you have, having Jalen Hurts, I think you're solid. I don't like this team quite as much as some of your other teams, but I still think it's good. I will say that. I think it's pretty good. Royland, what is up, Royland? Hey, saying, how do I recover 0 RB? Let's see what that means. 12-man PPR. Herbert, Njoku, Hill, Monross, Ridley, Ayuk, Dotson, Bateman. And then the running backs. Damian Harris, Jamal Williams, Shane, Algier, Kendry.
Yeah, well, see, the thing is, you don't really recover from 0 RB. You work. Like 0 RB, this is one thing I talked about when you and I were first like just doing audio and stuff, and we would talk about 0 RB a lot, because back then I was Mr. 0 RB, according to you.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about if you're going to go 0 RB, you have pretty much committed to, I am going to have to either work trades or the waiver wire really hard. Like you can't do 0 RB and then just be like, yeah, I'm just going to coast through the season. No, you've made a commitment to working this fantasy football season. You have to put work in. Yeah. Because you're not going to win your championship with Damian Harris, Jamal Williams, Devon Shane, Algier, and Kendra Miller, probably. Even though your wide receivers are fantastic. You got Tyreek Hill, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Calvin Ridley, Brandon Ayuk, Dotson. Your wide receivers are fantastic, which they better be when you're going 0 RB. And you got a stud QB too. So either try to make a trade if you're like, I can't go into the season with these running backs. I can't do it. Like if you're waking up in the middle of the night with cold sweat and you're like, I can't do it. Maybe try to trade Ayuk or Dotson right now and get like at least a solid RB2. You could probably trade Dotson for J.K. Dobbins right now, I'll bet you could do that no problem right now, because people are, like you said, Dotson has a lot of helium right now, and Dobbins really doesn't. And you still would have Hill, Amon-Ra, Ridley, and Ayuk. But really what I would recommend is just get ready to work hard this fantasy football season. Looking for that RB2 on the waiver wire, those rookies who are maybe starting to come around. Definitely you're going to want to watch Pierre's Beat the Breakout video every single week, Because there probably will be some guys on there that you could potentially pick up before they break out, and that's another thing you really need to do. So, yeah, you went 0 RB. It is what it is. Time to get to work.
That's right. I mean, look, you're gonna need to do that anyways, because even if like it does happen sometimes, like, oh, there was a guy last pick or 12th round, turns out to be one of the top running backs in fantasy. It happens. But you can't guarantee that you got that guy. I mean, you might not. Maybe you did, but yeah, you're gonna have to be vigilant. And that's a great idea, Dotson. Look, we've seen a lot of these teams today that had Dotson as their wide receiver 3, even wide receiver 2. And if you can get a starting legit running back for exchange for him, and he's your 5th receiver, you really don't need him. Yeah. Do that. Let's see. And then Royland with a follow-up question. So he's got some offers. He's already putting in the work. He said get to work. He's putting in the work.
No,
so
you can't.
Amon-Ra and Shane to get Sharp and JT. No.
You can't do that on a 0 RB team, because now you're 0 RB, but your wide receivers aren't as good.
Yeah, you still have 0 RBs. You can't start JT for 4 weeks at the very least, if at all, and then Charbonnet's not start worthy. So no,
can't do that.
Amon-Ra to get JT and DJ Moore. That's not either.
I mean, it's at least better, because it's like, okay, at least I can put DJ Moore in for Amon-Ra, but you still no.
Ridley and Njoku to get Derrick Henry.
No, here's why I'm not doing that, because you should have just, in that case, you should have just drafted a stud running back. Like because this is the thing. You went 0 RB. You have a massive advantage over, I hope you have and you should, based on your wide receivers, have a massive advantage over everybody in your league at wide receiver. Like, you should just, every week you should score the most points at wide receiver. That's the point. So now you don't want to give back that advantage. You know what I mean? You don't want to give back that advantage. That's your advantage. You want to keep that advantage. That's why I say you want to, like, I would be okay trading a guy like Ayuk or Dotson, maybe I probably would be okay trading them for Akers if you're really worried about your RBs right now, because you're not, even though like I do like Ayuk and Dotson, those guys aren't giving away your monster advantage at wide receiver, right? Because these are your wide receiver 4 or wide receiver 5. You still have your 3 monsters at wide receiver.
I mean, you can't start both of them.
Yeah, you probably can't start both. So I'd be okay with that one. Yeah. I'd still prefer Dobbins a little bit over Akers, but I think that's also okay.
That one would be better. Yeah, the Dotson for Akers, that would make sense.
Yeah.
And then just going back again, Christopher clarifying, it wasn't Bijan, it was Brian Robinson. That's what we figured. And then Benny Black with another one. Here's a quickie. James Cook or Khalil Herbert this week?
I like Herbert a little bit better than Cook this week. Going up against the Packers, not a tough run defense. He's going to be the workhorse there. You got to be a little nervous about James Cook on the road against the Jets, arguably the best, or at least like a top 3 defense.
Yeah, generally speaking, I would probably prefer Cook, especially in the PPR league. But this week, I'm giving the edge to Herbert also. And I really haven't been on Herbert too much, so I would still do that. All right, we do have a couple of super chats left. We're getting ready to wrap it up. We've been almost 3 hours. Appreciate all the super chats. If you do have a couple of last minute ones, then this is it. We're going to have to call it. Got a couple of non-super chats I want to get to. Kyle, a resident Dolphins fan, other than me. Jeez. Look at this. This is the kind of thing that happens. How do you get Jalen Waddle in the 3rd round? Like, even congrats. In a 10-10 league or an 18 league, that shouldn't happen.
Yeah, congrats.
Mike wants to know, is there a start sit video on Wednesday?
No, so today was our last start sit video with the QBs and tight ends. We have our tomorrow and Wednesday will be our boom videos. So basically tomorrow is all the running backs we think have just great matchups this week that can go off, and then we do the same thing on Wednesday for wide receivers.
Yeah, so we do have videos coming out. Just the start to sit, we should be all done with those. So
yeah, those are out. So we have running back, wide receiver, QB, and tight end are all live on the channel right now.
Yep. And still doing, besides a video, pretty much every day. Also going to be going live almost every day. So just keep on the lookout. Keep those notifications on. And then Gabriel, going back to his, saying he did slam RB2s, have no wide receiver depth, but it is way easier to trade an RB for a wide receiver than a wide receiver for RB. Okay,
I mean,
so
look, see, that's the thing. If you know your league and you know how they draft and how they value players, sometimes you gotta pivot because you know, like, hey, if I take this guy here, it's not going to help me based on my league. So it's good to know your league.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly it. Knowing your league is definitely a big part of it. Thank you. We appreciate it. Appreciate the love. And that includes Brian. No questions.
Thank
Just
you,
wanted to
Brian.
say thanks. Brian's in some of
Appreciate
our
you.
leagues.
Yeah,
So
he's in a lot of our leagues. Yes,
we'll be competing
I
head to
think
head with him.
I think in our final endgame draft with me, I think he got JT in the 7th round. Correct me if I'm wrong, Brian. And the only reason I didn't take JT before you is because in that draft was so weird. I started with Bijan, and then I went Ridley, and then I got I think I got Stevenson, and then I think it's Stevenson, and then I got Etienne. So I already had 3 running backs in a 3 wide receiver, 1 flex league. I didn't have a wide receiver 3 yet. I was like, I can't now take JT. My wide receivers are going to be terrible. So I think Brian got him in the 7th instead of me.
Well, he might be loving that. We'll see what happens. And then Cole Marshall with a question here: 12-man RB2, like Deion Jackson or Brian Robinson?
Definitely Brian Robinson going up against the Cardinals. We know he's the starting running back. We know he'll get plenty of touches, chances around the goal line against one of the worst defenses. Definitely Brian Robinson.
Yeah, easily for me, Brian Robinson. You'll know this again, guys. Watch that RB start sit if you haven't already. Get our thoughts on all of these guys. But yeah, for me, easily Brian Robinson this week, probably every week going forward. Chris with another one. Garrett Wilson will be a top 3 receiver. Do you think that's possible?
Possible. I mean, sure. Look, the path got a little bit easier if Cooper Kupp misses significant time because now it's like there's one less candidate for top 3. But top 3 year, Garrett Wilson being top 3 year 2 would put him on that like Jefferson, Jamar Chase trajectory for sure.
I mean, we have been saying he's basically a first-round pick. He's worth a late first-round pick, but still, we're believers. So, hey, you never know. And then let's see, Mark Arceo draft in 6 minutes, although that was 5 minutes ago. So that means he's 1 minute away from drafting. 10th pick. Can't really say.
Yeah, you can't. You don't go in. Don't worry about it. Like we keep saying, when you never know how your draft's going to go. Like, what do you do if Tyreek Hill is there at the 10, and then when it comes back around to you, like CeeDee Lamb is still there? Like, are you going to take a running back just to take a running back, or are you going to take Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb? You know what I mean? So, yeah, can't worry about that.
Yeah, don't go in with a mindset. You already know what position. Look for the value. Look for the best player that's there, especially in the first couple of rounds. And then Zachary Mudd. And then the question down here is, what do you think of this team with Watson at QB? Got JJ. Is that Brown and St. Brown?
What? Wow.
Possibly. Okay. And then running back is Pierce, Dillon, McKinnon, Brian Robinson. Got Kittle. Okay, so what do you think?
How do you get Justin Jefferson, AJ Brown, and Amon-Ra St. Brown? That's because like Jefferson, I'm guessing was the number 1 pick. So that means at the end of the second, start of at the 2-3 turn, you got AJ Brown and Amon-Ra St. Brown. That's ridiculous. And then you still got Pierce, who I think like will be fine. I mean, I'd prefer a little bit more, especially if you start your draft JJ, AJ Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown. I want more running back depth than Dillon, McKinnon, and Brian Robinson. Not that I don't like those guys, but I want some more depth there.
Let me, because I'm scrolling down the comments. He commented again, and I think this is the same team, but a little more detailed. Okay, so he broke it down a little bit more. Okay, got Watson with Rodgers backing him up. Pierce, Brian Robinson, Dillon McKinnon. Again, yeah, it looks JJ Brown, St. Brown, Cooper,
and Deontay Johnson. So you obviously went. But I mean, to still get Pierce as your RB1 with these wide receivers is fantastic.
Yeah.
Brian Robinson as your RB2 is fine. Dillon, McKinnon. I mean, like you're going to have to work the waiver wire at RB2, but dude, with those wide receivers, and you still got Kittle, and you got Deshaun Watson. I don't know how many teams this league is, but that's a great team. Great team.
Yeah, like I mean, if this is like an 8-team league, I'd be like, it's good. It's still really
Yeah.
good, but not necessarily a guaranteed champion because that means everyone else got stud running backs. But this is a 10 or 12-team league. Yeah, really good, really good. And then let's see, make sure I don't skip anybody. Okay, King of You. I appreciate the persistence. Let's just answer this question finally. If Cup is out, will Higby be a good start? Yes.
I don't know if I'm ready to go good start, but he's definitely startable.
I think good start is fair. Maybe not great start, but he's
Okay.
good. He's definitely got some upside.
Okay.
Um,
That's fair.
he definitely becomes a lot more interesting.
Yeah.
Royland just saying thanks for saving me from making bad moves. That's what we're here
That's what
for.
we're here for.
Yeah, always ask before you. Yeah, don't jump the gun on any of these deals.
Yeah.
T. Jordan, Osborne or Bateman?
Got it. I don't love Bateman this week, but I got to take Bateman over Osborne. I just don't. Nah, Osborne not doing it for me.
Yeah, because Osborne is interesting, but remember, he's maybe for like right now the wide receiver 2 in Minnesota until he becomes a wide receiver 3.
Yeah.
Bateman is probably at least the wide receiver 2, maybe the wide receiver 1 in Baltimore. We'll see. But yeah, I'll go Bateman. And then Gainwell or Spears?
I think you got to go Gainwell. At least we're hearing some talk that maybe Gainwell is going to be involved. Spears is, I mean, yeah, Spears might come in on third downs, but that's it. I mean, we know it's Derrick Henry for as long as he's standing. So got to go Gainwell.
I mean, if you're asking for just having on your roster and draft value, I'd rather have Spears. Got more potential there. But for your, I mean, I don't know. I hope you don't have to start one of these guys. If you have to flex one for this week, I would prefer Gainwell. But just generally, I'd just rather have Spears. So there's that. All right, and then let's end with a couple of quickies here. We were all finally caught up again on the super chats. Ridley for Cup.
Oh, this is where, oh man. I do really like Ridley, but we can't sit here and like act like Ridley has no risk. I think that's too low. I think I keep Cup. Even though I really do like Ridley, I still like.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
I thought you might say Ridley.
Well, I mean, look, I do really like Ridley for sure, but you give me a healthy Cup for 14 games, I'm taking him over Ridley. So I think that's too low for me. I'm still going Cup.
I'm going Cup, yeah, for now. I mean, even if he misses a couple of weeks, no big deal. I still think the ceiling is a little bit higher there. So, all right. And then that is it. We're going to end it with this saying, have a good night. Yeah, some of you are about to draft right now, maybe an hour or two, maybe tomorrow. You still got drafts the rest of this week. We'll be here to help answer those questions. And of course, your start start questions, because you probably have a lot of leagues if you're like us.
Yeah.
Well, if you're
Or like Christopher.
or like Christopher, some of you, yeah. Always keep in mind, there's always somebody who has more, right? Like I'm like,
Yes.
man, I have 15 lineups to set, and then you get somebody who has like 20. So, all right. But anyways, guys, if you have more questions, join us on the Discord. It's out there. Go to flockfantasy.com/endgame, be part of the community officially, and get all that's included. Our draft rankings, if you still need them, and so much more. And of course, get those pick'ems ready for Underdog. Join us there as well. If you haven't signed up, trust me, a lot of fun, easy to play, easy to win. Use code Endgame, of course, and get that deposit match up to $100, but it could be as little as $10. It doesn't have to be too much. So check it out. And we'll be giving you some more insight in some of our favorite picks for week one this coming week as well. All right, guys, appreciate it. We'll see you again the next time.